Over the course of 7 weeks, the strongest collegiate chess programs in the world competed for a chance to play in the CCL Championship.
But what is he doing? This cannot be real!
This is like some sort of Jedi mind trick, perhaps.
But now, the regular season is over, and the playoffs have arrived.
I do believe that we are the favorites.
Yeah, we don't tolerate any disrespect, so today we show that we are the best team.
Will St. Louis University three-peat? Will neighbor and national rival Webster University knock them off their throne? Or is there a dark horse lurking in the back-rank shadows?
What's it like to have ice in your veins?
I was lucky we won. Yeah, I had no idea what I was playing.
Ultimately, there can only be one champion. The 2024 CCL Spring Quarterfinals start now.
Welcome everyone to the 2024 Collegiate Chess League Spring Season presented by SIG. Joe, the regular season came to an end and today is the first day of playoffs. Joe, what matchups do we have today?
Bok, it is the first week of playoffs, like you said. This is the quarterfinals. We've been waiting all season for this moment, and we only have 2 weekends left of the Collegiate Chess League spring season. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to have you joining me. You're not playing today because you got a bye, so congrats on that. You guys won the regular season, but today we're watching the quarterfinals. We have 2 big matchups, starting with UT Rio Grande Valley taking on Athens. This is a Week 7 rematch. And then we have another match following this. Mizzou takes on Dallas. So 2 big matchups here today.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's great that, we have a bye this week and we're already seated in the semifinals. So let's have a look at the final standings of the regular season. As you all can see, St. Louis University and Webster University finished in the top 2 and therefore are already seated in the semis. But we have Rio Grande Valley, we have Mizzou, we have Dallas, and Athens fighting it out today. So, Joe, let's have a look at what kind of bracket that gives us.
Yeah, there it is. You see, as you mentioned, SLU and Webster already in the semifinals. Congrats, by the way. You guys have already won $500, so that's pretty cool. And we will see who you're going to take on next. So right now, Mizzou and Dallas are going to be one of your next opponents, and we have UTRGV and Athens, the winner, going to take on Webster. So who do you think do you want to see in your next matchup, and who do you think is the favorite in this match we're about to witness to take on Webster?
Yeah, I think the 2 favorites in these matchups have to be Mizzou and also UTRGV. Athens, unfortunately for them, they're not able to field their strongest lineup. However, that being said, I think Mizzou against Dallas is going to be a tough match. I think Mizzou is the favorite, but not by a big margin. So I'm curious to see whether Dallas can make an upset. And it's also very interesting, Joe, how Athens made it into the playoffs. They were in 7th place, but in the final week of regular season, they overtook Chicago and got their spot here. And Joe, maybe you can tell the viewers who Athens beat in their matchup.
Yeah, well, Athens was taking on UT Rio Grande Valley in that last week. UTRGV maybe didn't field their best players because they were actually in the middle of traveling. That was a rescheduled match, which was covered on Sunday, actually March 10th. So Athens ended up beating them. It was actually a crazy start. Athens led the way 6.5 to 1/2 in the first 7 games. And UTRGV tried to get the comeback in the second half, but ended up falling short. They won 9-7, as you could see there. So a clutch win for Athens to leapfrog over Chicago, as you mentioned. So Chicago lost in their last week against Webster. That was their only match that we watched on broadcast this season. So missing a lot of matches. Chicago unfortunately missed playoffs in D1 for the 2nd season in a row. And Athens, their first season in the CCL, they're making their first playoff appearance today. So if they can beat UTRGV again, a back-to-back upset, that would be huge for them, making to the semifinals to take on Webster.
Yeah, it's great to see that the Collegiate Chess League is becoming more and more international. This is the first year that I see top teams from outside of the US in Division 1, and now they're also into the playoffs, so that's great to see. And here we see the lineups. As we see, Texas has a very strong lineup. They have 2 GMs on the top 2 boards, then 2 IMs on the bottom 2 boards. Athens also has a GM. They also have an IM, but their board 4 isn't a Team A player. I think you told me it's a player from Team C. So that's going to be a big factor. Like, how will Giatos be able to hold himself on board 4 against the heavyweights from Texas Rio Grande Valley?
Yeah, Athens, they're one of 2 teams or 2 schools in the CCL that actually have a B team and a C team in both D2 and D3. So can you guess what the other school is that has 3 teams in the top 3 divisions?
I don't know. You can tell me, Joe.
It's Dallas. So
Wow.
Dallas and Athens are the only 2 schools that have 3 teams in the top 3 divisions. And so you might be wondering, why is Athens pulling up a C team player instead of a B team player? Well, the answer is because their B team is also in the playoffs and they're trying to maximize their chances of success in that division. CCL is tough, right? They have a player on their A team that's playing over the board today, so unable to make it, and they had to pull up a sub from the C team. But as you saw, all the players are there and ready to go. So, Bok, I can't wait to watch this matchup. Also, you mentioned UT Rio Grande Valley with only 2 GMs. Sean is an IM on the list, but he's actually a grandmaster. He met all of his norms. He's just waiting for FIDE to send him that I guess official GM title.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised to see him still being an IM. Yeah, I knew he was very close. But yeah, great for him that he got the GM title. So, like I said, Texas Rio Grande Valley generally technically has 3 GMs, and their board 4, I think he's an IM, but also a very strong blitz player, and I'm sure he can hold his own. So for me, Texas is the clear favorite, and Athens is gonna have to score some upsets here and there. I think in one of the earlier matchups that we witnessed, I think Kaliras, he managed to do pretty well, but also the other players will have to score some points here and there.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see if Kaliras, as you mentioned, can do well. He can lead his team to another upset win. He was instrumental in their victory over UTRGV last week. But UTRGV, they're bringing in their heavy hitters. This is their top team, so they're in it. They're ready to play, and I suspect that they will try their chances against Webster in the semifinals. But Athens proved me wrong last week. Maybe they'll do it again.
Yeah, so I guess the games are going to get underway any second now. I guess there's always some fair play checks going on. And Joe, I guess for the playoffs, players now have to be on a 2-camera setup, whereas on the regular season, you just needed 1 camera. Is that correct?
That is exactly right, actually. So we have a fair play team. It's very similar to the fair play checks that they do in Title Tuesday. I know you've played in that a couple times, but Title Tuesday is a little different. They bring in players, I think, random screening, perhaps. But in this league, the Collegiate Chess League, we have players in not only top division, but the top 3 divisions joining a fair play call for all playoff matches, actually. So we have not only 1 camera, but 2 cameras on these players today because we're taking this extra seriously. We have a lot of cash prizes on the line, $25,000 this season alone, in fact. So we're definitely making sure that the players are playing according to all the rules. And so sometimes these fair play checks take some time, but the players joined early today.
Yeah, and we see the players getting ready. Some players are playing from home. I think we saw Akin Baris earlier. Maybe he was playing from the UTRGV team room. I don't know, but it's a bit it's interesting. Like some players, they like to play in the same room, in the team room, and maybe the coach is watching over them, making sure they all play fair. I personally prefer playing from home because I'm just so used to it, like my computer, my mouse, all of that stuff. So it's interesting. But sometimes players are playing over the board and they have to play from hotel rooms. And so we're gonna see how that's gonna work out for everyone. So yeah, looking at the Joe, I think we have a bit of a challenge. Maybe you can tell the viewers more about that.
Yeah, predictions challenge. This is already done. It's closed earlier this morning, but we're sponsored by SIG, and they're putting up a JBL Clip Force speaker as a prize. Hopefully you all saw this earlier and submitted your bracket. I submitted my bracket, Bok. I don't know if you submitted yours.
Can I still do that, or is it too late? As soon as
it is
played?
too late.
Well, it's okay.
Unfortunately. But yeah, this season we had a ton of predictions submitted. Division 1 alone had over 500 people submit a prediction. So I don't know if I like my 1 out of over 500 chance of winning one of these prizes. But fingers crossed for me. I don't even know if I'm eligible to win it, frankly. But I just kind of look at what all the brackets are like and see all the players, and I just compete for fun and see if I can beat some of the other contestants.
Well, you're the CCL commissioner, you know. You make the rules. So if I were you, I'd be like, hey, you know, I won. You know, just before even waiting what the results are. Like, I win this thing. But yeah, all jokes aside, the players are getting ready. Yeah, I think that's going to be tough for Athens. Again, UTRGV, they have 3 GMs, 1 strong IM as well. So I'm curious to see whether they can make this a close matchup. And really, the critical factor is whether their board 4 can get some points on the board. What do you think, Joe?
Well, I think we're going to find out. So I think we're going to wait for these players to get ready, and we're going to take a really quick break, and the match will start after that.
And welcome back, everyone, to the 2024 spring season presented by SIG. We had some technical issues. Unfortunately, it seems like Jean-Rodri Lemieux was not able to make it, and he's probably going to be swapped out for another player on the UTRGV team. But Joe, that does mean that Sean's board will be forfeited in round number 1, correct?
That is correct. UTRGV gonna take a forfeit loss in that first round, but we should have the other game starting any second now. We see the players have been waiting, but we're gonna have Jean-Rodrigue Lemieux swapped out for Druska, who obviously is a strong player and has played earlier in this season, but definitely a big loss, I think, for this UTRGV team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. It's not great starting out down point, but it's not the end of the world, right? Like, let's say they would have found out mid-match that Sean is not able to make it and they can't swap him out at all. Then they start down 0-4, and that's not easy to overcome. 0-1 is still very doable. I also still think they should be the favorite, but that gives Athens some chance. So let's see how they will try to use this momentum. In the meantime, the last fair play checks are in place, so we should be getting underway any second now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to be missing such a strong player. We were just mentioning he's actually a GM, so I'm actually kind of looking forward to Athens maybe taking advantage of this. Like, it kind of balances the playing field a little bit because Athens doesn't still have their full roster. They had a C team player ready, so I think UTRGV is still the favorite. But yeah, let's see if Athens can take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So we see in the bottom left-hand corner, Sean's name is still there, but I guess that will be swapped soon to Druska's name. And yeah, if I understand correctly, that board is just not playing at all. Still don't see any moves, but I think we should be getting underway any second now.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the games to start. So I think board 1, we have Viktor Gajic versus the board 4 from Athens. You said his name earlier, Panagiotis.
Panagiotis is my best bet. Yeah.
Hey, thanks to Aquila gifting us sub to Brody. Brody's one of our ambassadors from Southern Illinois, actually pretty close to St. Louis.
I think we finally have the first move. I see 1e4 in Vasilios Kasimos against Gleb Dudin. Yeah, these Greek names are not going to be easy. And I'm a little bit surprised. I see Gleb thinking, or he's not moving at least. Does he realize that his game has started? Because I see him looking at his screen, but I don't see him moving.
Yeah, well, he's given some time odds perhaps, but I do see Andreas Kaliris is playing against Ekin Oznir, which is a really big matchup because Andreas Kaliris is the grandmaster from Athens, board 1, and we saw Oznir actually is he's been like their team hero in one of their matches. I forgot who they beat.
Are you talking about Ekin Oznir?
Yeah.
Well, he did score the winning point when they played against us, so maybe you're referring to that match. Actually, in that match, something very similar happened where both Robbie Kavlishvili and Batsur and Dambasur were playing over the board. Robbie finished quite quickly, though, so he was able to make it. But Batsur was still playing at the time, and so he missed the first two games in the match. And it still became very close, but we lost by a 1-point margin. We have a Catalan here in the meantime, where Kaliris goes for a very quick a5, a4. And it's quite interesting. All of the pieces are still on the board, white having a little bit more space. And we see the move knight e5 by Akin Baris.
Yeah, with the white pieces. I mean, what do you like about this position? Do you play this opening?
Yeah, I had something very similar against Antipov actually in the classical game, where instead of the move a4, he played h6 and I also played knight e5. Now we see knight c3 by Baris, putting some pressure on the pawn on e4. And it's quite interesting. At some point, I guess black is going to trade on e5. White will probably recapture with the pawn. And then maybe knight d7 and some interesting tension in the center will arise. So lots of options for both players. And it will be very interesting to see how both players will navigate the complications here. And there we see the trade on the e5 square.
Yeah, it's interesting taking with the pawn. I feel like I might have taken with the bishop. What do you think is the major difference in that pawn structure?
Yeah, I think the main reason why he took with the pawn is to take with a tempo, attack the knight. And now we see the trade on d5. Pawn takes d5. It might seem somewhat counterintuitive to capture away from the center, but now it will be easier for black to develop that light squared bishop. And a typical move here for white is the move e4, trying to break in the center, trying to open up that light square bishop a little bit. And I'm curious to see what Andreas is going to do in response to that. I think if black is in time to go, let's say knight c5 and then maybe g6 and bishop f5, black is a very comfortable game. But I'm sure that Akin is looking to break in the center first.
He goes away from the center. He plays this move a3, and we see the computer evaluation gives that a question mark move. Maybe in agreement with you, right? E4 definitely a more aggressive pressing move from Ekin. So yeah, is this maybe Andreas's opportunity? Okay, he plays e4 now, but is it too late?
Well, here black has an interesting opportunity perhaps to go d4, hitting the knight, and if you take that pawn now, because of the move a3, there is the move knight b3, forking both the rook in the corner and the rook in the middle of the board. And it's not clear to me what you do about the move d4. If you go knight e2, then there's another fork with pawn at d3. So I think that's a great opportunity for Kaliris to get some initiative going in the middle of the board here. Knight b3 is an option as well, hitting the rook, but maybe then taking on d5 gives white a better exchange sacrifice. And let's see if Akin is going to go for it.
Yeah, if you push d4, as you mentioned, Ozner might just take on d4 and sack that exchange. Here, knight b3 first gives Ozner the opportunity to take on d5, still sacking the exchange, but as you mentioned, a better version of that because, yeah, and here we see it. So good eyes from Bok, dude. Having a grandmaster commentator, like, just you see everything. Like, I'm relying on the eval bar, the engine lines, and all of this. Like, I don't have this kind of sight that you have, and to watch you play is incredible. So to have you commentating the matches, it's like I'm just hands off, sitting back, just along for the ride.
Yeah, no, it's great to be here, Joe. So I think it's a great rule that you guys implemented that if you make it into the semis, you're seated, or like if you finish in the top two, you're seated in the semis and you get a week off. So let's have a look. So Akin has got great compensation here. He's got a pawn for the exchange and some active pieces, but it's not easy to prove it, right? If Kaliris gets a couple of moves, like let's say bishop b6 and rook c8, black is doing quite fine. I mean, he has up a rook for a knight and a pawn. And there's a lot of open lines on the board, and generally speaking, when you have a rook against a minor piece, you want to have open lines so that your rooks really come to play. And the move queen e2 perhaps is a little bit too slow by Akin, and that's why we see the evil bar drop a little bit. And bishop b6, a very natural move by Kaliris.
Yeah, I love this knight on d5. It's supported by both the rook and the bishop on g2. There's like pretty much no chance black would give up the bishop pair for that knight, right? But I mean, how else would you get rid of this knight? There's no pawns that could kick it away. There's no other minor piece, really. So interesting. I like the exchange sack from white.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, rook c8 to me looked like a very logical move, but the engine seems to slightly disagree with it. But again, it's not clear to me how Akin should build on his initiative here. I mean, the knight on d5 is pretty. I don't think black should be in a rush to take it, because then white recaptures, let's say, with the bishop, and then the bishop on d5 is very strong. But your bishop on d8 is kind of stuck here. You can't really move it. If you ever move it, then knight e7 will be a fork. So it's not clear to me how Kaliris is going to continue activating his pieces. But let's see how he will try to do so. And bishop e4, oh, that looks like a nice move by Akin. Perhaps he's setting up queen h5.
Yeah, queen h5, just bringing in the queen, threatening checkmate and one on h7. And I guess you would induce some sort of pawn weakness, right? Black would have to push a pawn to prevent that from happening, which you don't really want to push the pawns around your king, especially with white having both bishops still pointing straight at that king. So maybe Kaliris up material. I like white's piece activity, though. So we see another question mark move. Rook c5, and as you're pointing out, queen to h5, definitely the most pressing move, threatening mate in one immediately.
Yeah, I think he wants to make queen h5 with pawn at g6, attacking both the queen and the knight. Now, if white would be in time to go, let's say, queen h6 followed by knight f6, he would be crushing, but I don't think you're quite in time, as black is quick to take this knight off. So I'm wondering why rook c5 is given a question mark. To me, it looks fine, and I don't see a clear way to punish black. Maybe something like, I don't know, queen d3, defending the knight, and the pawn. It goes bishop d2 instead, which also apparently is not a good move. It's given a miss.
Yeah, bishop back, pointing at the queen, but a miss because we want to be pointing towards the king, right? Like you could win the queen, but not win the game. But you can't lose the game if you won the king, right? So, yeah, now black's trying to trade off the queens here. And we see that exactly. Bishop n attacking the rook. I am expecting the rook to move to e8. And then how does white follow up?
Yeah, it's not clear. I mean, you would like to play something like knight c3 hitting the rook, but unfortunately that hangs the pawn on e5. So maybe move like f4 first, strengthening that pawn on e5, because now also the rook in e8 is eyeing that pawn. And, you know, black still has pretty good compensation, but maybe what he wants to do, Joe, is after f4, maybe he wants to take, and in case you recapture, give a quick check on b6, followed by rook d8, and then you trade off some pieces and really neutralize white's initiative. So I guess that's why Akin is paused here.
Yeah, spending some time. I'm wondering, we should probably take a look at some of the other games going on. It looks like, I mean, Dimitris Alexakis, board 2, looks like he's doing well against Juraj Druska, the sub that they brought in.
Yeah, let's have a quick look at that game. Yeah, it looks great for Dimitris. He's up a pawn, a very noticeable pawn on a4. It's definitely felt here. It's a passer. And also, Dimitris is up more than a minute on the clock. So, Druska, he was able to make it last minute, but he seems to be in some trouble here. So, yeah, Athens is fighting.
Of course, and they have spirit, and they've beaten this UTRGV team again, so there's no reason why they can't do it now. And I love Dimitris' time management. He's up a minute here over Juraj. Juraj down to his less than 30 seconds, actually.
Yeah, so bishop f1 played by Druska, defending the pawn on d3 once more with rook b8, a very natural move by Dimitris, perhaps setting up ideas like knight b3, in case you take them, black gets a strong b pawn. Bishop b2. Now, what black can also try to do here, since white has got their hands full on the queen side, trying to neutralize that pawn, black can also try to generate some threats on the king side, maybe with a well-timed h5, h4, trying to create some weak squares on the king side. He goes knight b3 instead of wait, maybe now rook b1? And how exactly are you going to defend? Oh, he takes. But now it takes him black still very firmly in the driver's seat.
Yeah, pawn takes, the queen's got to move. But I feel like the b pawn is going to be weak, no?
Yeah, no, for sure. It can definitely drop if black's not careful. After takes maybe queen b2, followed by rook a3. You can also just take with the rook. That also looks very good for black.
Yeah, what do you think you would do?
Very good question. I think I'll be tempted to take with the pawn, but if I don't see a clear way to hang on to it, then maybe take with the rook. Okay, so he takes with the pawn, queen b2, and now white's ready to go bishop d1 and rook a3. So let's see, maybe now move like c4, trying to break up the pawn structure, bishop b6, but you can just block everything off with the move c4.
Yeah, this pawn I think is a gunner. So probably rook takes if you were trying to keep the most material.
Yeah, so let's see. Maybe now you can do something like queen d8, rook a3, maybe queen b6, bishop d1, something like queen b4, and in case it takes queen e1. But the question is, does it really lead to anything? I mean, oh wait, check. Wait, king. Where's the tactic? What am I missing?
Oh man, I see there's so many other games and absolute time scrambles, but this last move, the computer hates rook b4, and now...
You know what he had? He had bishop h3.
So bishop h3, I was going to say, yeah.
King h4, check, and then you take here with check, and you pick up the rook. That was the tactic he missed, but that's a very difficult spot.
Dang.
White's still under pressure here, though. Rook b1.
Wait, but there's a queen on... Where did the queen come from?
All right, rook. I'll show it after the game. King g7, white's still not out of the woods. Oh, wait. This queen can be trapped. Bishop f3 is now a big threat. Wait, Black
Oh
can
my
lose this game.
god.
You might have to move the rook. And then bishop g4.
No, he's gonna flag.
Wait,
Oh my god, he
that's
gives the
just panic.
check.
King up? There's nothing.
He's doing this, but it's too late.
King
King
up
up, he's
turning
trying to
mate,
play
kinda.
h5.
King f3 to king run. Maybe like h5?
The king's still going. h5 still.
Bishop
He wants to
e2?
play g4. Okay,
Okay,
queen
this
here.
is not over yet. Okay, maybe you
King's
just
still
snap off a
running. 3
pawn.
seconds. He's grabbing a pawn, but he's down a bishop.
h4, yeah. Oh,
Rook
but the queen is
h1.
trapped
The queen's
now.
trapped.
Wow.
Yeah,
What a
bishop
game, Joe.
f3,
What a game.
sneaky. Nah, this is unfortunate for Dimitris.
That's it. Wow.
And Andreas Kaliris lost, and Vasilios lost. So UTRGV up 3-0. We have 1 game left. With
Wow,
Athens board 4.
what a game. But if you don't mind, Joe, I'll quickly point out a tactic that Alexis missed.
Of course.
In this position right here. Okay, let me go back. If I can. All right, so it was right around here. So rook takes b3, taking the pawn, was actually a big blunder. What black had was a check on e1, king up, and bishop h3 check. White has to take, and now queen f1 check. So if you go to g4, we take here with check, and we pick up the rook, black's winning. And if you go to h4, then it check again. And if you go to g4 or h5, you take the bishop with check, and then you take the rook, and black is absolutely crushing. So that's what he missed, but yeah, as we see, anything can happen when both players get alone time.
Yeah, it's rough. Unfortunate start for the Athens team. They're definitely in a big hole. We do have that one last game. They're board 4, taking on Viktor Gajic, who looks firmly in the driver's seat here.
This looks great for black. Black's up a pawn. White's got weaknesses all over the place. I think it's going to be a sweep here for UTRGV, and I don't know if I see Athens coming back from that, to be honest.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate start. Really rough, honestly. I can't really emphasize that enough. But hey, the match is not over yet. Still have 3 rounds remaining and plenty of chances to get back into it, but definitely not the start. But to be fair, UTRGV, they're definitely in playoff shape here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I definitely see them as one of the top teams. Like if I look at the teams, I think, SLU, our team, is the favorite, but I think Mizzou and Webster, are sort of like not they're tough matchups. And then Dallas and UTRGV are very tough teams as well, and that's what UTRGV is proving here. So let's see if Gaji can close this out. He's winning here, obviously. He's up 4 pawns, but it's never over until it's over in the blitz game.
Yeah, but he's also up a ton of time. 40 seconds to just 5 seconds on the clock.
Mm-hmm. Queen e1, tricky move, trying to set up rook takes e6. Wait, I wouldn't allow that. Hey,
rook takes.
What did Gaji just do? It was just so clear that was the idea.
Double exclam.
Okay, what do you do here? Like maybe king up or something? Okay, now I wouldn't go rook e7 because rook e4.
Yeah, rook e4. Holy smokes, this changes the whole game. This could be the comeback that Athens needs.
E3, but now you trade off some pieces, and you can also trade off the queens. And you lose on time.
A good tactic, but not enough. And UTRGV starting off with the best possible start they could ask for, a 4-0 sweep against this Athens team. Looking for some sweet revenge from week 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's looking tough for the Athens team. They need to come back from this as soon as possible. I mean, 4-0 is a big lead, So let's see if they can do it in round number 2.
Yeah, Athens, they're going to need to get some points up in round 2. Otherwise, this match is going to be as good as over. But still, plenty of chess left, plenty of rounds left. Athens has a chance to get back in it. But yeah, hoping for maybe this game could have been the start to a comeback, right? That 1 point could have given their team some hope, especially if it's a board 4 versus board 1. So they definitely had their chances, and it just didn't go their way on any of the boards.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, they really could have gotten some more points on the board. I mean, Alexis could have won, Kaliras could have won, but they didn't win any of those games. This game, I mean, in the time scramble, maybe could have gone their way as well. But yeah, 4-0 is tough. 4-0 is tough. I don't know if they'll come back from this. I mean, they need to get some points on the board in match number 2, as otherwise UTRGV might just run away with it.
Yeah, and we're getting the round 2 games starting soon. But who do you think, like, we saw Panathinaikos try to get this win against Viktor Gajic. Do you think, we obviously mentioned Andreas Kaliris, do you think Athens has maybe someone that they could really look forward to? Even Dimitris Alexakis almost won his game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, generally speaking, the board number 1 and 2 from Athens is where they have some hopes to get some points on the board. They're definitely very capable. So, yeah, those 2 players are going to have to lead the way for a comeback for Athens. I'm talking about Kaliris and Alexis. And, they have the white pieces in round number 2. So, let's see if they can do it. But, Vasilios and Panagiotis are also going to have to score some points.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a full team effort. And I think Athens was able to get a win last week against UTRGV, and doesn't seem like they're able to have lightning strike twice, as they say. So UTRGV definitely woke up early and was ready to compete. They didn't have any other competitions going on, as far as I'm aware. No traveling, although I guess they were missing Sean.
Where's Sean? What happened to him?
I think Sean tried to join again, but unfortunately responded too late. So he's been officially subbed out. So yeah, official ruling, you can't have a sub mid-match. That's just not allowed. But because the match was delayed, Juraj Druska was able to sub in for the start. So yeah, UTRGV getting that last player sub in on time and able to complete all the round 1 games. So they're off to a perfect 4-0 start. And here we go, round 2 underway. Athens looking to get this back in striking distance. I mean, I would love to see them 4-0 sweep again. I think they started first round last match 3.5 to a half against UTRGV. So it's definitely like not impossible. Like, it's within the world of reason. So let's not count Athens out just yet. It's just literally the worst possible start you could have, but they can answer right back.
Yeah, for sure. And here we see that the games have already lifted off. Gajic playing an interesting anti-Najdorf line, anti-Sicilian line. And I actually had some games here. Like, I remember I had a game against Artemiev in the World Cup in 2017. And to show some tricky lines, I played the move Queen to C7. Actually, also had this against Gajic. I played Queen E6, which is a better move. But after Queen C7, White can go D4, takes. And after Knight C6, takes. Your Rook on H1 is hanging. But you can actually sacrifice it with Bishop to G5. And in that game, I thought like the move Bishop G4 was kind of clever, but after takes, White took here, and after Queen A4, it's just game over. And yeah, that's how I got sent home in the World Cup. So let's see if Black will do better. He played a different move instead. Instead of that, he played the move Knight FD7, which to me looks a little bit awkward. Again, as far as I know, the move Queen E6 is best here. Knight FD7 looks quite passive. So I'm curious to see what Gajic is going to do. Maybe you can again go for something like D4.
Yeah, Knight FD7, such a backwards looking move, right? You're kind of blocking your bishop. The other knight maybe could have gone there, I guess, trying to make C6 still available for it. So Knight on E5 causing some issues here for Vasilios, who's trying to remove it with this backwards Knight FD7 move. So you mentioned D4 is a good response, just a development move in the center, defend the knight, taking space, opening up for the dark square bishop. Seems very sensible. But if knight takes on E5 and pawn takes, you're happy with taking back on D1 with your knight if we see a queen trade?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, maybe with the knight, you can also take with the king. He goes Knight F3 instead, keeping all of the pieces on the board. And now Vasilios can play the move Knight C6, perhaps a little bit more active. Bishop G2. And I think what Gajic can try to do here is try to break with a quick D4. So Vasilios is going to have to make a decision. Is he going to stop that with a move like E5? Or maybe move his knight out of the way? He goes G6 instead. But here, like I said, I would be tempted to go D4 because now Bishop G7 completely stops it.
Yeah, bishop g7, fianchettoing and getting ready to castle, and we see exactly that. So the pawn only goes to d3, not as aggressive, not taking as much space in the center, but still opening up way for the bishop. Speaking of which, knight back to d2. So a couple backwards knights here, but opening up for the bishop. Are you threatening to take on c6 and give up your fianchettoed bishop?
I wouldn't go for it because it does double the black pawns, but you leave your king here on g1 quite exposed. So I don't think that's really his idea. I think he just wants to open up the bishop for the moment. He wants to move his knight to c4, and it's not going to be easy for black to kick it away with a move like b5, as that is going to leave the knight on c6 hanging. Wait, now knight d to b8. Well, I think his idea is to meet knight c4 with b5, but Joe, to me, this looks a little bit too creative. To go knight f6, d7 to b8, and now knight e4, a clever move by Gajic, and the pawn on c5 looks quite awkward to protect, and also you can go c3, kicking that knight away.
Yeah, so knight comes out to f6, very natural, but then back-to-back backwards moves, knight d7, back to b8, and maybe he just likes that c6 square so much for both his knights, he wants both knights to land there.
Right, but now we see knight c4 by Gajic. He's looking at ideas like bishop f4, although that can still be met with e5. Also, a5 is an idea to try to create a nice outpost over here. And it's not easy for black to develop. The moment you go knight c6, you hang this pawn over here. So I don't know. I like Gajic's position a lot. We saw in game number 1, he got a Kingzinian type of structure, and right now he's getting that with a white piece. So I guess he really likes these types of positions.
Yeah, and the computer agrees. The white is definitely the favorite. I think probably there's a couple other games we should take a look at. I think Dimitris Alexakis looks like he's doing well against Ekin Oznir.
All right, so let's have a look at that game. All right, yeah, looking pretty good for Alexakis. All right, so black has the bishop pair here, but both bishops aren't too active. For the moment, you cannot take on e6, as that leaves your knight on d4 hanging. But maybe a move like rook 81, defending your knight and then threatening to take. I don't know, I like white's position. It feels like white's got a nice initiative going here, because if black ever takes the pawn on d5, you leave the pawn on f5 hanging, and you're in all sorts of pins. So Alexakis, he's one of the best players on the Athens team. He has to get a win. He has to get a win going here for the Athens team.
Yeah, the Athens players have to get wins at some point, right? And like, you got the advantage here. Black is missing a G pawn. You just played rook ad1 as you suggested, opposite the queen. So we see bishop to f6, taking the long diagonal, putting pressure on the knight, maintaining the pin on the d5 pawn. So still can't take as bishop takes on d4. So do we move the knight, or is there another way that we can try to support the knight? Maybe like lifting a rook, or yeah, I'm not sure.
You can also consider a move like rook fe1, because after rook fe1, let's say black plays a random move, you can now take on e6, and in case black takes, now e7 comes with the fork, as that pawn is protected. So Alexakis has quite some moves at his disposal. I'm curious to see which one he is gonna go for it. I mean, it feels like white is an initiative here, but if you're not super careful, then maybe black can survive the initiative for now.
Yeah. I like Oznir's got his hood on. He's like an assassin just waiting for Alexakis to mess up, right?
Yeah, it actually seems like both Gazi and Oznir are playing from the same location. If you look closely, I mean, it both looks like there's these walls with the white on the top, then the black, and then that red line. But it seems like Gleb and Druska are playing from their rooms.
Oh, maybe we could get a look at the bird's eye view so we can see all the players and their boards.
Right, so let's try to pull it up. Oh.
Or not. But I think we see a time scramble in a couple of the positions. Actually, Andreas Kaliris, he's crushing it on the clock. So maybe we take a look at his game.
Yeah, he's doing great on the clock here. He has a slight advantage. He's got the bishop pair here, bishop c1 and f3. And as you said, Druska only has 35 seconds on the clock, so Kaliros has to try to keep up that pressure, both on the board and on the clock. And then he's got a great chance to win. He goes h4, and I think he's looking at ideas to potentially go g4 and g5. Bishop d4, nice move by Druska, putting the bishop in the middle of the board. And I guess he wants to follow up with a move like knight c5, trying to go into the b3 square, putting some pressure on the pawn over here. I mean, like as you pointed out, white is much better on the clock, but on the board, black's still doing quite okay.
Yeah, it's fairly even. We actually have results. It looks like Gleb Duden able to take down the board for Panagiotis fairly easily. Maybe a missed tactic here.
Yeah, let's have a very quick look at what went wrong. Gleb already had a nice advantage, but at some point things went wrong for black. I mean, the pawn on c7 is just terribly weak, as it's on a half-open line. It's also backwards. It cannot, move itself. It cannot be supported. b5, that pawn also became weak. Rook a1, and it's just too much pressure. And very smooth victory here for Gleb. And knight e7 was missed, and that really wraps up the game. So nice winner for Gleb, and an unfortunate loss for the Greek player. I mispronounce his name every time. So
Panagiotis. No, it's I think it'd be great if maybe like in the registration process we have players submit like an audio sample of how to say their names.
Right. Yeah.
All right. What's a game we haven't looked at? Vasilios's game, or actually, I think that's what we were looking at, right? Gojik's got a crushing position now.
This is over. He's up in exchange and a few pawns. I mean, the a pawn is just going to run home. Bishop e6, a4, a5. No, this is over. I mean, it's going to be another win for the Texas team, and that's going to be 6-0. So let's have a look. Things are also getting somewhat out of control in Alexakis' game. I mean, that's really a game they should win. But e7 now, bishop takes f2 is a clever little tactic. Desperadoing. Is that even a word, desperadoing the bishop? Takes on e7 first, but now white has a great position. I think that was a very important pawn to take.
All right, Demetrius, let's see it. Come on, rook d5. Keep the pressure on the clock. He's in the better position for sure. He's played it. Come on, Demetrius. First point for Athens right here.
Right, yeah. They need a win. Maybe f4 here for black. I mean, if you're going to lose a pawn, you might as well chip away at white's pawn structure a little bit. Rook e5, or just take an e6. Both moves look good for Alexakis.
I mean, I'm taking on f5. Because I don't want him to play f4.
Right, it's always going to be annoying. You can put the pawn on f3 and then create some checkmating ideas around the white king. On the other hand, in case black takes, then white gets a strong passer on the default. Rook d7, I mean, how
he's getting both pawns.
D5,
he's getting both pawns.
Or rook d1, yeah. I mean, this has to be a win for Alexakis. Come on.
He's up 30 seconds too. I want the queen on h6, and I want the rook on g5.
All right. Is he going to take the pawn?
Yes.
Okay, he does take it. Maybe something like, rook d2 or rook d1. Good move by black. Now, don't take... I mean, actually, no, don't, because there's queen e4 at the end, and after rook f3, then rook d3. Although there's check in here, but...
Can we still do queen h6?
I like queen c6, controlling this diagonal. Make sure that black never has an annoying check over here. Maybe queen e2? Complicate matters. Take.
10 seconds now for Oznir.
Okay. He has to go for queen e2. Queen e2. You have to complicate matters. No, that.
Now there's a check.
Queen f3. Or a check, yeah.
Got it. 20 seconds.
Queen f3. Good move. Yeah, this should be a win for white. Take. Now the king sits very safe on g2, and the king over here is quite weak. King up or something.
Rook g5.
Or hey, you can take another pawn. Or check. Okay, take.
Okay, that check has been taken away. So now taking the pawn. Queen over. Now, I mean, yeah, start pushing our c-pawn, right?
Yeah, rook f5 seems like a nice move. Maybe rook f4.
Rook f4, yeah, threatening to win the queen. Now take on f7. This is crushing.
Yeah, and Alexakis gets the first win for Athens on the board. All right, and here, things are getting out of control in a time scramble.
What just happened?
Going on? Oh, wait,
Is there queen e5?
I have no idea. Bishop e3, but now take, check. King back, and you take an e4. Like should be doing fine.
Oh man, Andreas missed the tactic there.
take another
Do
pawn or give a
you know what
check?
that was?
What was it?
I don't know. It's just I saw
Oh,
the.
I think I know. It was pretty okay, and we
Oh,
have.
he
I think
draws.
Joe.
You gotta
I
go
think
back.
what
We
he
gotta see this.
missed in this position right here. Let's go back. So Kaliras had a dominant position throughout the game. So he took the pawn. Apparently 94. Oh, 98 is the first. It's hitting the queen, and then you take the bishop on the next move. 94 was played, but here what Kaliras could have done is bishop takes g7. You sack the bishop, and in case black takes, you give a check. If you take the pawn, white takes here, gets the piece back, and it's crushing. And if you go king up, now there's bishop h5, sacking the other bishop. But in case you take, white takes, and you're still down a piece. But this
Wow.
h pawn is just crushing, and
Yeah.
this is also a threat.
And there was no knight takes h5 because the queen was pinning it. So
Yeah.
what a tactic. Oh, Andreas got to work on that puzzle rush.
Yeah, no, we have GMs in it. GMs is one of the best puzzle rushers in the world. Maybe he can teach him a thing or two about puzzle rush.
Well, that was at least an answer from Athens. They got 1.5 points on the board. Unfortunately, still down a ton of points. UTRGV still won that round, so they're up 6.5 to 1.5. Their top two boards getting the job done. But some points from the bottom boards. Athens, I guess their top two boards, Dimitris and Andres Kaliras, starting perhaps the start of a comeback.
Yeah, no, it's looking tough. Yeah, Texas only needs 2 points in the next 2 rounds to win the match. So yeah, it's looking tough for Athens here. But Joe, we have a great community in the chat. Perhaps you can talk a little bit more about the community on Twitter.
Yeah, if you don't follow @GreenPawns, the Chess.com community Twitter, you're missing out. Not only do you keep up to date on community events, @GreenPawns is the place to be for special Q&As with your favorite stars. This Monday, we're sitting down with Magnus Carlsen to ask him your questions. So don't miss your chance to ask the GOAT your most pressing questions. Use !GreenPawns in chat to join the Q&A. Well, Bok, if you had a question for Magnus, what would you ask him?
Can you please lose to me? Just one game.
just one, please. Well, you'll have your chance to ask him that if you follow Green Pawns on Twitter. So stick around. We'll have rounds 3 and 4 coming up after this break.
All right, now for this next problem, Stockfish cannot solve it no matter how long you leave it for. And I also should say it's not technically a forced mating line. There is a way that black can get out, but the resulting position is still winning. Let's look at the most forcing line to start. Knight f6 check. The king does not want to go up here because this would queen with check. So it goes towards the knight, king g7. We check it again. Again, black king is attacking this knight, but it's protected by the bishop. But we can sacrifice the knight here with bishop c2 check. King takes, and now the engine is starting to catch up with where we're at. Now we're free to promote to a queen. But wait, wouldn't promoting to a queen lead to this knight fork on f7 and we'd lose our queen? Yes, but that is all part of the plan. I should say that at this point, the engine can figure out that this knight fork is actually the only way to lose. There's only a way to lose right away. Black can play a number of other moves, but this position is technically winning for white. We're up a queen and a piece against 3 pieces. These pawns we can take care of. So let's look at the far more interesting knight fork. Knight f7, and we're not even going to try to protect this queen. We're going to go king e6, let them take it with check, and then the king goes to f5. And now you'll notice we're barricading in this king. This black king cannot go anywhere. All of the squares are cut off. So what we're trying to do at this point is threaten any check, and that would be mate. So we are threatening bishop d1 checkmate. What can black do? They can stop it with e2. Well, we've got ideas. We can go bishop e4, threaten checkmate over there. And the only way they can stop this is by promoting to a knight covering this square. Well, our game is not over yet. Bishop d5, and now we're threatening bishop c4 and checkmate here on d2. Well, black can temporarily stop this, promote to a knight again covering this square. Hang on, we've got still ideas. Bishop b5, threatening checkmate over here. Well, black can give up a knight for nothing, delay the inevitable. Knight c7, protecting this square. That's fine for us. We'll just find another way to do it. Bishop a4, threatening this square. Checkmate once again. Now this time, there is nothing black can do to stop this unstoppable action. c4, bishop d1, and all you can do is get some knights in the way to block. But eventually, we find checkmate.
What does it mean to be a woman in chess?
It means to be brave.
Challenge.
Powerful.
Empowering. Special.
It feels great to be a woman in chess.
I am proud to be a woman in chess, and I don't really think about it too much.
It doesn't feel anything so different. I mean, it's normal and I'm fighting it out over the board.
Be a woman in chess, for me, is simply just to be a woman who loves chess.
I play chess.
One pawn. 5 suspects. Bring your deductive skills to the chessboard this March and help solve the mystery. Was it the movie star, Tina Tempo? The heiress, Beatrice Bishop? The Green Pawn's coach, Remy Rook? Tournament organizer, Madame Mate, perhaps? Or the arbiter, Professor Passon? Play them all, gather the clues, and find out who done it on Chess.com.
I'd classify trading as a game, really, that you're playing with competitors and basically every market participant in the world. My path, I came in as a poker player, but I think that the main thing that everybody has in common is a sense of competitiveness and interest in gaming and strategy in general. Yes, you can actually use gaming skills for your career and for something to do on a day-to-day basis.
And welcome back, everyone, to the 2024 spring season of the Collegiate Chess League presented by SIGA. Joe, it's looking tough for the Athens team. They are down 6.5, 1.5. We're watching them take on UT Rio Grande Valley. Do you see them coming back from this?
Well, they won 1.5 points in that last round, Bok. I'm feeling a little bit of momentum, maybe some energy their way. I'm not counting them out just yet. This is their first time in the CCL season. This is their debut. This is their first time in the playoffs. They destroyed UTRGV last week, Bok. I think they could still do it this time from behind, and they're going to need a massive comeback for sure in these last 2 rounds. But I mean, come on, Athens. You got your whole country cheering you on. You've got a lot of fans that are supporting you. I'm sure there's a lot of Greek viewers, actually. So I don't want to count them out just yet. I need UTRGV in a very good position, but maybe they're going to be cocky and overconfident. Maybe they're going to disregard perhaps their Athens opponents, and I think this could be their opportunity to get back into this match.
Yeah, no, for sure. They need some points in this matchup. At least, what is it? They need to win this match. They need to win 2.5, 1.5, and then they need to sweep the final round. It's tough, but it's not completely impossible. Also, just wanted to point out to everyone that if you are enjoying the broadcast, make sure to stick around, because after this, we will have the matchup between Mizzou and Dallas. That's going to be an absolute banger. I think that one, Joe, is going to be very evenly matched.
Yeah, Mizzou and Dallas, 2 strong teams, definitely contenders. They're not only trying to make it to semifinals and put their team into the money for the cash prizes, but they're looking to win the whole thing. So Mizzou, they've won in the past. Dallas, I think, still searching for their first win. And frankly, I believe that they have the talent to do it. You might disagree with me because they would have to get through your team, of course, in the semifinals. But honestly, I'm just excited. We got some we're in the playoffs, man. This is do or die. Match is on the line. The season is on the line. Once the team's eliminated, they're gone. They're done. They can't play again until next season. That's going to be like in September. So quite a break before the school year starts. But they have 2 rounds left. This is their opportunity, their chance to make it to the semifinals.
Yeah, no, you make a very good point. In the regular season, you only have to make it into the top 6. If you make it into the top 6, you qualify to the playoffs. But once you are in the playoffs, there's no more room for error. If you lose any match, then it's just over. So we have a very interesting game here in the meantime between Alexakis and Gajic. I mean, look at this tension between the pawns, right? Gajic is trying to break down on White's pawn structure, but Alexakis says no, he's just defending every single pawn. And I'm curious to see what Gajic is going to do here. He can no longer put any further pressure on the pawns with any more pawns. I mean, something like f6 runs with the e6. So at some point, I guess he's going to trade and maybe trade off the rooks. Maybe come out with a knight, like knight c6, hitting this pawn on b4. Let's see what he's going to do.
Bok, do you think they're setting up for a checkers game?
Possibly, yeah. So black can go a5 takes c3 here. And then white goes c5, take a7.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think that's a forced trade, right?
One thing I always forget in checkers, Joe, is that the pawns or the pieces can also capture backwards.
Really?
b7. But Joe, you told us, you were talking about it earlier about how Mizzou won one season. Maybe you can give the viewers a quick rundown of the history of the Collegiate Chess League. Like, the Collegiate Chess League came into existence exactly in what year, and what teams have won seasons since then?
Well, 2020 was the inaugural season for the Collegiate Chess League, and SLU was the inaugural season's champions. They won in the finals against Mizzou, actually. And that season, we did a double elim bracket. Third place was my alma mater, UCLA, only losing to Mizzou. So they had a really good run. Mizzou ending up making it to the finals, losing only to SLU. And then SLU didn't join second season. That's when Mizzou had their opportunity and they won, beating UC Berkeley in the finals, actually. So since then, season 3 actually had U Chicago winning. So I mentioned earlier, they missed out on the playoffs. I could go on, all day. We have all this listed on actually our events page. I think there's a section at the very bottom with the past winners. So right now, these teams, they're looking to rewrite history and put their names on the immortalized list of Collegiate Chess League champions. And as I said, Dallas has never won it before. This is Athens' first time even in the playoffs. UTRGV, they won season 4. And you mentioned international teams not being in D1 that you've seen, but actually UTRGV won. So season 4 and season 3 had international teams. I believe Bucharest had a team in D1 and Warsaw had a team in D1. And I wanted to mention UTRGV because Warsaw's team actually had their current coach, Bartek, playing on it. And they're the ones that made it to the finals. They lost to Awonder from Chicago. So Bartek, not only is he the coach for this UTRGV team, he's the mastermind, but he's also a veteran. He's played in the CCL as a grad student at University of Warsaw. Did you know that, Bok?
I did not know that. But I was just wondering, Joe, I think it's only been in the last few seasons that SIG came in and is sponsoring the league now with prize money. And that's when teams really have tried to step up their game and try to bring their best players in every single match. Is that correct?
SIG did start sponsoring us this school year. So this is the second season that they've sponsored, but Chess.com has given out prize money since season 3. And I believe this is right now we're in season 8 or something like that, which is crazy to say out loud. But yeah, because we've done multiple seasons per year. This is, I guess, our 5th year, well, since 2020, I guess 4 years. I mean, yeah, CCL. I love that we started basically from scratch. Like that first season, we only had 30 schools, only like 300 players. Now we're over 180 schools. We're at 20 countries and over 2,000 players, which is absolutely incredible. And I love that people maybe watching, tuning in, they only see the top teams. This is only D1, but D1 is only the top 8 teams of the entire league. We have over 370 teams competing. That's 24 divisions. And it's only going to get bigger and better from here. So, yeah, right now, Athens trying to write their history in the CCL, and by making it into the playoffs, they kind of have. But unfortunately, they're losing. But I like Dimitrius's position here. He got a point in the last round, and he's trying to get another one here against Viktor Gajic. How do you feel about this one?
I think he has a nice tactic. I think he can take on d6 in case Black recaptures and take. Let me show you. He can take, and then go knight e4, hitting the queen and the knight. You can still go queen e7, but then d6, disconnecting the queen, and you just pick up the knight. So is he going to find that? I mean, if the answer is yes, I think Gajic is going to be in big trouble because I don't see what you're supposed to do here. I mean, you can maybe move the queen, but that doesn't look good either. I mean, actually, still knight e4.
Still knight e4, yeah, wow. He's got to bring the queen to the back rank, which is very passive, very sad, and up a pawn for Dimitrius. He's spending a lot of time. He maybe senses it. He's got his spider senses tingling. He feels something. But the question is he going to find it or not?
Yeah, of course, we have the luxury of the evil bar, right? When we see the evil bar go up, we know that there has to be something. But of course, for Alexakis, I mean, it feels like there's got to be something, but he doesn't know for sure. But I feel like it's findable, taking twice, followed by knight e4 and d6. He might be tempted also to take an e6 first, but that could actually spoil the advantage, because then you no longer have that d6 pawn push. And he's getting low on time, and it really hinges on this position. I think if he finds it, he's got a great chance to win, but otherwise, Gajic might get away with his provocative opening play.
Man, he's under a minute now here. He still hasn't played it, and if he does, he's starting it.
D6. Great, he had to pick on d6 first.
Oh, it's so unfortunate. So close.
Yeah. Now pawn takes c6, and Black is very fine. I don't think there's really a tactic there, although it's still looking quite dangerous for Black after takes takes. Maybe knight e4, and then, there's still a lot of targets in the Black position. But you can also do after pawn takes is maybe take on d6, then go knight b5, hitting the queen, followed by bishop d2, hitting the knight, and the pawn cannot step back to d5 as you take, and the pawn is pinned. So let's see what Gajic is going to do. He's definitely not out of the woods just yet.
Yeah, still lots of chances here, and Gajic spending some time. He kind of feels maybe he's under some pressure as well. So these players, they're going back and forth. They're trading punches right now, really stepping around some landmines. Absolute blunders could be played if they go one step in the wrong direction. So Dimitrius maybe missed the most pressing line, but still has some tricks up his sleeve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's see. Now Gajic also falling below on time. He's getting down to a minute. So let's see what he's going to do. He takes an e5 while he's sacrificing the knight, and he's really setting the board on fire. Maybe he wants to take an f4, hitting the bishop, also opening up this diagonal towards the knight. Yeah, and he goes for it. I guess bishop d2, defending the queen and the knight. Queen takes d7. So white's up a piece here, but black's got a lot of pawns, 3 to be exact. So you could argue the material's even, but generally speaking, the minor piece tends to be better than the knight. The knight's under attack in this pawn as well, but knight c2. This is still very complicated.
Yeah, this is hitting the queen. Queen's got to move now, and can move with a counterattack. Yeah, we see the knight landing in on e3, but is the b pawn hanging, or are we going to get...
Take it, you invite bishop d4, creating some nasty pin over here. Goes bishop e3 instead. Maybe bishop d4 anyway, but I guess you're still in time to go king to h1. But I don't know. This is a toss-up. This game can go either way.
Yeah, the queen can land in on h3. Also, yeah, taking on b6 was bad because your bishop on c4 was hanging from the knight. So that's why we see bishop to b3. Kind of blocking the queen, though.
Rook 8, setting up rook a1. I mean, you don't quite want to go bishop c3, but it's not obvious to me how you stop that threat. I mean, bishop a2, but like you pointed out, there's always queen h3 looming, hitting the pawn on f3. And
Oh,
Alexis out
gosh.
for a very long time. Bishop queen d3,
Yeah,
check.
rook check anyways.
I like queen d3, though, because it's pinning the bishop. And also, if you take the bishop, it will always be with check. So, you don't have time for stuff like queen h3.
True. That's good. Good looks. Also, like, is bishop c3 a threat now?
Yeah, bishop c3 is definitely on the cards, putting pressure on the bishop. And Gashik taking his time here. Maybe he has to go for something like rook d8, but that feels like a step back. He goes queen d8. Okay, maybe bishop c3 anyway, because after the trade, your king will be in quite an unpleasant check. Although, maybe you just step it up to h6. Bishop c3, take,
Yeah.
king h6. All of that on the board.
King h6, like you said, and now maybe can we bring the...
Sex of rook.
Exchange stack.
I think it's just a check.
Check.
King g7. And
you might
if
go
anything,
for perpetual. No, pawn
Gajik
block.
goes for more.
2 pieces versus a rook here.
I like Black's chances here. The material is
He's going for the fork.
even.
96 was a huge fork. Queen stuffs, he checks anyways.
King g2.
He's moving up the board. The king is part of the attack.
h4, he's trying to open up Black's king. But maybe Black takes, and then the king will be exposed on g2.
Man, Dimitris, season on the line. He's got 2 games left. He's making the most out of it. He's using every piece in this attack. h4, h5. Queen is in.
c6 hitting the rook. Queen e7 back. I mean, you can take the pawn. I mean, why not? Queen c3. Is Gaji going to repeat? Rook a8. Okay. I mean, h5.
Less than 5 seconds for Dimitris.
King h3, b5. Gaji setting the pawn in motion. Bishop d5. Maybe rook e3. Rook e8, h5. Okay, I think. Okay.
That pawn that you didn't take, it's pushing down the board.
Yeah. Okay, bishop e3 back. Okay, rook g8. Yeah, trying to utilize that the g file. Queen d5, but that move looks off.
Knight discoveries.
Oh, queen f7.
Yeah, defending the h pawn.
Queen f5. Maybe just
a
queen trade looks devastating for white as the attack is gone.
He didn't do it. Now knight back. The rook's hit. The h pawn's dropping.
Oh, there goes the rook.
The rook.
And knight h5. That looks game over. But maybe...
now knight f6 with check.
Okay, there goes.
Oh, but then the king up.
That b pawn.
Trading the runs is this a draw?
I think so, because you get the pawn all the way to b2.
Oh my goodness.
That being said,
and then you can trade off that last pawn. It's a draw.
Well, you might not be able to trade it off, but here's the thing. What can white do, right?
White's going to have to get the king to the b pawn, and this is when black steps up and pushes the g pawn for the draw.
G5 now. No, this has... Oh, knight c4!
Oh! He's winning! He's winning!
G5, not over yet, though, but yeah, knight d3, f4, this is game over. What a game, Joe.
Dimitris. Clutch. He's not done yet.
Incredible. And I've got some more good news for the Athens team. Vasilios also wins with the black pieces. But let's see what's happening here. And Gleb is winning in this one. That's really tough for Athens.
Maybe we look at their board for Panagiotis.
Well,
it's a draw.
They made a draw. So they win the round 2.5, 1.5, but UTRGV only needs another half a point to clinch the match. Athens
so you're telling me there's a chance?
There is a chance. Yeah, if they get all of the 3 dots together, they can sweep UTRGV.
All right, we gotta cheer on Athens, looking for a 4th round sweep to bring it to overtime. What a miracle that would be. But yeah, Athens, they win their first round of the match, 2.5 to 1.5, showing they've got some fight left in them, setting themselves up for a 4th round. They're not out yet. UTRGV, as you mentioned, only needs a half point in this last round. I think they can get it, but Athens still has a chance, and they're showing some heart. They're showing some passion. They're not going away just yet. They're going to end their season with a bang, or they're not going to end their season. They're going to force overtime, sweep this UTRGV team in the 4th round, and maybe win it in OT. So, Bok, I love that game from Dimitris. What a fight that was. And I think the rest of his team needs that same passion if they're going to have a chance here in round 4.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, that was we picked a good game to watch, that's for sure. And yeah, the Athens team needs a crazy comeback. If they go 4-0, that will be the comeback, the biggest comeback ever in Collegiate Chess League history. So let's see if they can do it. The games are going to get underway any second now. Yeah, UTRGV just needs to keep their nerves together. I mean, I think Gleb is playing a great match so far. I think he's on 3 out of 3. But he is playing Alexakis, one of the best players on the Athens team. So, here's the thing. In the last round, you play the player of your board. So you're pretty evenly matched. So there is potentially the potential for a 4-0 comeback.
Yeah, I will say, as you mentioned, Gleb he's 3 out of 3. So if he continues that, he's going to be able to clinch the match for his team and have a perfect score. So Dimitris Alexakis, he's not going to let him do that so easily. If he has anything to say about it, he's going to put him to the test and make him earn that match victory. But I think the big difference here in round 4 has to be the board 4s. We've seen Ekin Oznier be the team hero for Texas in the past, and I think he has the best chance against a weaker sub from the Athens team against Panagiotis. So we'll have to keep an eye out on all the games. But right now, we're watching Gajic take on Andreas Kaliris. So must-win situation on all 4 boards for Athens. Even a draw is enough to clinch the semifinal spot for UTRGV fighting to take on Webster next week.
Mm-hmm. Right, and here, once again, we see another King's-Indian type of setup by Gajic. He is going on knight c3, e4, knight f3, and g3. A very early bishop to g4 and h5 by Andreas. And we see knight e5 by Gajic. Now, you might be wondering, what is that about? But I think in case of e6, he wants to go knight f4, hitting the bishop to try to get the bishop pair. So let's see what Kaliris is going to do. I mean, you could go e5 to stop knight f4, and knight f4 is on the board. So let's see, is he going to trade himself? That's what he goes for, knight f6. I think Gajic should have a slight advantage here based on the bishop pair.
Yeah, he got that bishop off the board, and bishop pair looking good. So especially bishop on f3, it can tuck back to g2. That's the Fianchetto bishop. We see exactly just that. Meanwhile, Andreas, he does not have a light square bishop. It got trapped. He had to trade it for a knight. And white now playing c3, getting ready to play d4. And get that dark squared bishop out and get the queen up and start to connect the rook. So not going d4, d3. Was d4 a little too soon?
Perhaps, because after d4, it also does open up the c-file, and black is very well prepared for that with the rook on c8. Queen c7 by Kaliris. That being said, it's difficult to point out a plan for black. I like what Gajic is doing. He develops his bishop first, and perhaps he wants to go d4 later. Rook c1. Again, I think all of these moves are in preparation for the move d3, d4. And the difficult thing for black is you don't really have any good pawn breaks. You don't really want to go d5, as that opens up the light square bishop. And also, generally speaking, you don't want to open up the position if your opponent has the bishop pair. And here we see the move d4 by Gajic. I think he has a very nice advantage here with the white pieces.
Yeah, that's going to be tough for Andreas to take down Victor Gajic, board 1 from Texas. But maybe we take a look. I mentioned Oznier and board 4 versus Panagiotis. I think that could be a really important game for both these teams, right? Athens needing their board 4 sub to win on demand, and UTRGV needing a half point on any of the matches to clinch the win. So how do you feel about this game so far? F3, question mark.
Yeah, to me, f3 looked quite natural as you're stopping black from ever jumping to the e4 square with the knight, but as you pointed out, it was given a question mark. Now, I think we're going to see a very double-edged game here. White went queenside castles, black went kingside castles. We see black pushing all of his pawns on the queenside. I don't know, I like Akin's position. I think he just wants to go a4, push the pawn, and then go b4. He's probably not in a rush to go b4 first, as then the knight can jump to a4 and stop the pawns from marching up. But if you start with a4, followed by b4, again, the black position really plays itself, it feels. He goes bishop e6 instead, which is also given a question mark. Because maybe now white can quickly move a knight to f4 and put some pressure on that bishop.
Yeah, that's good analysis. So definitely still some chances. The games is very early here in this fourth round. Ooh, knight back. The computer did not like that as much. And you're saying bishop takes is the best move?
Well, that's the move the computer is pointing at, the blue arrow. The orange arrow is me. He goes a4 instead, which apparently is a miss. I guess now knight f4 is a good move, putting pressure on the bishop. But I wonder how you're going to meet pawn at b4. Do you go knight e1? Do you go knight b1? All of that looks pretty passive to me.
I mean, I feel like b1 makes sense. It's a defensive move, but as you called it, passive. I think e2 definitely is the most active, as we're getting ready to take on e6 and maybe put the knight back on f4.
Yeah, bishop c8, a very logical move by Akin, making sure that white cannot capture, but the computer doesn't seem to like it. Now, I wonder, maybe you just go like g4, knight g3, go all out on the king side. Black is going to go b3 at some point, so you can also move your king over to b1, maybe go knight c1 to add some defense. So let's see. I mean, if you want to go all out g4, knight g3 is the plan, and that is what he's going to go for. I think, given the fact that Panagiotis has to win, I think this position is great from that perspective.
Man, I mean, we're gonna see some absolute fireworks on this board, Benjamin. We're seeing opposite side castles, and an immediate sign of chess success for attacking games. If you like the attacking style, if you need a must-win situation, this is the kind of position that you're dreaming for. So we see b3, Oznir trying to start the attack, and Panagiotis just shuts it down, a3 immediately, keeping it closed, not allowing for that a file to open up. That a4 pawn's going to stay there. And now white perhaps has an opportunity to push on the king side still and get their attack going.
Mm-hmm. So knight g3, good move by Panagiotis. And now I wonder, does he want to go knight f5? Because I expect a move like knight b6 from Akin, so that after knight f5 he can take. Or do you go for something like knight h5? You know, putting pressure on g7, putting pressure on the knight. I don't think you really want to allow this knight over here, although there is something to be said for a move like, let's say, rook e8 and meet knight f5 with bishop f8, and that's actually what Akin is going for. So let's see, can Panagiotis start the heroic comeback for the Athens team here?
I think he can. I'm liking this position a lot for white, actually. I'm thinking the bishop wants to go to d3 at some point, getting that last minor piece developed, pointing straight at the king. I also just feel like h5, h6, get the h-pawn going, get the rooks involved. And you mentioned both knight moves, right? Honestly, knight to g3, just keeping the options open, keeping the knight around, and maybe keeping Oznir on his toes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bishop d3, good move by white. Now let's see, is he going to go knight b6 or bishop f8 preemptively? I don't know, you definitely must be feeling the heat here if you're Akin. I mean, yeah, he is definitely under some pressure. He is outrating his opponent quite significantly, but the position really plays itself here for white. You know, that's always a great thing in blitz. And we see bishop f8. Maybe now moving a knight to h5 could be a nice idea, putting some pressure on the knight on f6.
The pawn goes to h5, and the computer does not like that as much. Your move putting pressure on a pinned piece, right? Bishop f8, defensive, looking to trade rooks. That's exactly what we see, but opens up this pin on the knight on f6. You mentioned a move like knight to b6, trying to reroute the knight towards white's king, but now with that pin, a move like knight h5 would have been really aggressive for white, keeping the knights connected. Otherwise, you're going to open up that g file against black's king. So we don't see that. Instead, pawn takes on c2. Does this allow the queen to take?
You can definitely take with the queen, and then bishop takes h7 would be a threat as the knight is pinned, but maybe you just play a move like h6, making sure that pawn is not hanging, also hitting the bishop, and white is going to have to spend a move on moving it back. We see queen takes c2. Yeah, now queen a5, great move by Akin, hitting the rook here and getting out.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, maybe the c-pawn is hanging, but the computer obviously didn't like this, and Oznir played queen a5 instantaneously prepared for it. I was going to say, if black played a move like h6, doesn't that create like a hook? If we bring the bishop back, we're going to play a move like g5 at some point.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great idea. So bishop a6 by Akin. He doesn't want to touch these pawns at all. Maybe bishop f5 putting pressure onto the knight. And also what I like about the move bishop f5 He goes h6 instead. Now, I think here what a king should do, he goes g6, which I think is fine, but it is inviting a sacrifice. I was going to say maybe he should trade here first to make sure that white cannot sack. I mean, you have to go for it. I mean, just go for it. Just go for it, and like I said, pray to the Greek gods that it works out.
Wait, we already have a draw, Bok. The match is clinched.
Come on.
Andreas Kaliris and Victor Gajic, an early draw. Victor's already pieced out. Draw by repetition. That is not...
He didn't have to. Like, why? Like here, Black is doing fine after bishop f6. Why did he just move back and forth?
This is not the Greek way.
No,
Andreas, you know you're in a must-win situation. You have to play it on. You cannot threefold. Even if you lose, at least you tried.
Exactly, yeah. No, that's disappointing. All right, but let's stick with... Well, and he is gone for it. You know, let's just pretend that draw didn't happen. And this match is still in full swing. Queen b5. Good move by a king. He wants to go queen e3 and trade off the queen. So let's see what Panagiotis is going to do about it.
Yeah, see, like nice so Andreas Kaliris, a grandmaster draw. Queen c4 check. Okay, this is not looking good anymore.
This is over. This is over. What do you do? King d1, queen d3. You trade off the queens and then pick up another piece. Yeah,
that's unfortunate. Okay, so wait, queen f5, not the move.
Oh, here's what happened. There? Panagiotis saw Kaliris made that draw and just got discouraged. It was like, come on, dude. Like he's not even trying. King d1.
Unfortunately, I mean, still even queen d3. Yeah.
Yeah, that also looks more than good enough. So take Black's up a piece in the endgame and up almost 2 minutes. 95. It's not completely over yet, though. White still has some pawns over here on the king side to work with. Wait, what? Free bishop? And you defend the pawn on b2.
The best move on the board. Wow, okay. I mean, man, if Andreas didn't draw, I mean, this would have been quite a
Alexius has won his game.
Wow. No way.
This is won.
Wait, how?
It doesn't matter. He won. Wait, what? What? Wait. The lab disconnected or something? What? Wait, let me have a look. What happened?
It disconnects.
Oh. Yeah,
Guys, this could be the Greek god miracle that Athens needed.
I mean, yeah. I don't understand it. I don't understand why Kaliros just
maybe let's look at Vasilios' game. We haven't looked at that one yet.
Vasilios is also better. No, yeah, I'm telling you, like Kaliros, it's... If I were his teammate, I would not be happy. I would tell him like, yo, dude, I understand. Or, no, I don't understand. Like, you have to win. Like, you have to win. Just don't take a draw, dude. Like, you know you're down 8-8-4. Like, it's blitz, you know? Like, of course, it counts for Chess.com rating. Like, if this is feeder rated, I understand. But Chess.com rating, I mean...
Can we look at the board 4 game? Panagiotis is completely winning, but he's got less than 15 seconds.
He should be able to close this out. Rook c7, and it's game over. No, like, this could have actually been the comeback had Kaliros not taken that draw.
I'm speechless right now.
A7.
That is a very big miss from the top board. That's your grandmaster. That's your team leader. He should be the one leading the way for the comeback. And the early draw there, just completely, as you said, unexplainable. And we have resignation here. And now one game remains.
Yeah, you can take here, but it hangs d3, maybe queen c2 or e3. Try to sneak in on the king side, queen e3 on the board, d5 maybe, but then maybe something like take. I don't know, d5 on the board, knight d6 hitting the queen. Yeah, white's crushing it here. Queen b hangs d5. No, again, if Kaliris had not done that, they would have tied it up. Okay, wait, not over yet. Take on d5. Take on d5. No, come on, what is that?
Yeah, this game maybe not over yet.
d4, maybe lock up the position. Knight d4, good move. At least so I thought. Queen e3 or queen e1. A4 is still very weak. And your bishop is dead. Your bishop is dead. But, keep that in mind.
Okay, and this pins the knight. You cannot take on b5. Okay, defending e4. Now can you take on b5? Oh, there's a back rank check.
If I were queen f8, maybe just trade or queen back. Bone hang f3.
Yeah, queen d1.
Queen d1.
Queen d1.
He trades
he
queen
trades.
d7 maybe? But now the
Okay,
bishop
he's
is a
going after
little bit more
e6.
alive, by the way. Queen c8, queen c8, queen c8. And pick up the pawn, check. Queen c8.
Wow. Oh.
This should still be winning as the bishop is still
but
dead.
he trapped his bishop. He just played e5.
b1. This has to, you go king c2, king b3.
That bishop is just a dead piece. Look at it on h8. Wow. Andreas Kaliris, your teammates need to have a stern talking to you because you just threw the chance at an overtime comeback.
I'm just disappointed. Like, this would have been the comeback of the century, but instead he took a draw. Like, what is up with that?
Athens 3.5 to a half, 1 game away. Unfortunately, from their top four grandmaster, a three-peat repetition, maybe just lack of awareness in the match. And that's going to cost Athens their season. UTRGV, they move on to face Webster in the semifinals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, in the end, it became very close between UTRGV and Athens. Not at all what we expected. Texas had a 8-4 lead, but yeah, what a comeback. Like, I thought after 2 rounds, Joe, 6.5, 1.5, this is over. But they won by a point. And if Kaliris had not taken that draw, who knows what could have happened. But in the end, it is UTRGV who moves on to the semifinals against Webster, and that's going to be a big match for sure.
Yeah, that's crazy. And Kaliris actually ended up being the lowest score for the team as a grandmaster, 1 out of 4. I am disappointed in that result for the Athens team, but I am grateful for their season. They had a great run, a great showing, even making it to the playoffs, beating UTRGV. Had an awesome chance here in round 4, but their season comes to an end. But don't go away just yet. We do have another match after this. But in the meantime, did you guys know that the College Growth Team has a podcast? That's right. 3 guys chatting about their favorite nerdy topic. Revolutionary, I know. Jokes aside, the College Chess Podcast is a great weekly listen with new episodes every Thursday. We sit down with special guests from all over the world, from college ballers and chess players to top-level talent like Grandmaster Christian Kurilla, and get to know the story behind the stars. Use !pod in chat to catch the latest episode dropping this Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely make sure to check it out. And Joe, perhaps you can tease who this week's guest will be. What can our audience look forward to?
Well, we had a lot of awesome guests in the past, and this week we have one and only Nick Carl, who some of you might know. He was actually at the Disc Golf Invitational tournament that was held earlier. So disc golfer and chess aficionado. So we're always trying to look for awesome guests. Maybe even going to bring Benjamin Bok on one of these days. But yeah, we're going to go on a quick short break. Hope to see you all tuning in for the podcast later. And yeah, Dallas versus Mizzou coming up next.
Students, did you know that you can get a discount on any Chess.com premium membership? If you're enrolled in a college, university, or high school in a participating country, you can get 50% off any yearly or monthly premium plan, diamond, platinum, or gold. That's unlimited game review, unlimited puzzles, unlimited bots, unlimited lessons, and no ads. All at 50% off. Go to chess.com/students and get your discount today.
This is Grandmaster Daniel Narditsky. We are watching Valentina Gunina taking on Ju Jun, the women's world champion at the 2023 World Blitz Championship in Uzbekistan. And the players starting off with a pretty conventional opening, a Queen's Gambit declined, and now a semi-Tarrasch as Ju Jun brings her c-pawn up to the center, and a big exchange in the center. This is a very, very popular opening. Black takes on d4 and then takes on d5, and now gets an isolated queen pawn on d5. Okay, now the rook comes into d1, and now it's Gunina's turn to launch an offensive and chase the black pieces out of the center. Knight to e7. Ju Jun has to oblige. And are there tactics? No. Back to home base goes the white queen. Bishop to d5, pinning the knight, forcing the weakening move. F3, Jun is playing an amazing game with only a couple of seconds on her clock. She's doing a terrific job of sort of keeping the status quo and continuing to induce weaknesses in white's position. But she is still down a queen, and white is still pressuring the king side. Bishop to a7. Gunina has plenty of time on her clock. Queen to d3 was another devilish move. It threatened 2 checkmates on h7, and actually there was a mate on d8 that was threatened, and so Jun has to make some luft, but g6 is a very weakening move in 4 seconds as that knight, it couldn't decide where to go. Knight to c6, knight to e4. Gunina brings her knight into the game. 2 seconds for Jun. Rook to d8, chasing the white queen away. Oh, but that's a pin. That rook on d1 is undefended. Oh, Gunina blundered that move. Gunina blundered rook to d8, and now the white queen has nowhere to go. She might have to sacrifice the queen back. Oh, but that endgame is going to be really bad news for white because while the e3 pawn is weak, the a2 pawn is weak, and that black rook on c4 can infiltrate down to c1 or to the side, down to a4. Gunina blundered rook to e8, and with only 3 seconds, the women's world champion was able to spot that the rook on d1 is undefended, and I don't see a different move for white. She might have to play queen takes rook, or maybe queen takes knight is a better version of that sacrifice. No, she's going to move back to f4. Gunina is going to keep her queen at all costs. Oh, with 2 seconds left, Jun just didn't have the time to capture white's rook on d1, and instead she went g5. She allowed a check. She allowed a trade. Oh, white's going to win. Queen d6 check. What a move. King g7. Another check on h5. That's forced mate. That's forced mate. Knight h5 is mate in 2. Knight h5 is mate in 2 moves, and she finds it. And Jun stops the clock and graciously extends her hand. She almost came all the way back, down a queen, but just didn't quite have enough time to deliver the final blow. All credit to Valentina Gunina for keeping pressure on the board and on the clock. What a game.
Classified trading is a game really that you're playing with competitors and basically every market participant in the world. My path, I came in as a poker player, but I think that the main thing that everybody has in common is a sense of competitiveness and interest in gaming and strategy in general. Yes, you can actually use gaming skills for your career and for something to do on a day-to-day basis.
Welcome back to the quarterfinals of the Collegiate Chess League Spring 2024 season presented by SIG. SIG is not just a trading company, it's a gaming company too. Chess.com caught up with current Cornell University Chess Club president and incoming SIG sell-side research associate, Kimberly Liu, about what makes organizations so special to her.
My name is Kimberly Liu, and I'm the current president of Cornell Chess Club. I interned at SIG last summer because I noticed that their culture was very gaming-centric, and that is quite a unique take. I think SIG values the gaming aspect because you're able to make decisions under pressure. So pressure is definitely not a strange thing in chess. There's time pressure, there's pressure of spectators, so being able to just stay focused and make the best moves or best decisions that you can is honestly all that you can ask for. I grew up in Davis, California. I was 5 years old, and full story is that I was at an after-school daycare, and I saw another teacher coaching a student, and they happened to be picking up the knight. And at that time, I was a pretty avid horse gal, so I told my dad, and he recognized that it was a game of chess. He eventually learned like the basic rules to teach me, and from there, I kind of took it and ran with it. During the pandemic, obviously I had a lot of time on my hands and I was still very introverted, but I saw some of my good friends streaming. I was an avid community member, avid chatter or spammer, but then I realized, what if I was on the other side of the camera? So I eventually decided to give it a try on my very old 10-year MacBook Air, but this whole process was very invigorating and new and refreshing to me. A lot of my high school friends were very supportive. That was also giving me a lot of encouragement. I felt like I was just chatting to my friends from the very beginning. Coming from California, a lot of my friends were staying in California universities. I decided to go to the other side of the country, Cornell, which I didn't really have friends at, and I wanted to start anew and see what I can do just from the ground up. Previous years, I've noticed that there's not as much communication between a Cornell chess club and the local community chess club, and I kind of wanted to bridge that gap because it's so important to be just as intertwined with the community and contribute back. So that's why I decided to get more involved with our local Ithaca Chess Club. Oh, you're making this really tough for me. It's honestly one of the best decisions of my life because I'm meeting people from all walks of life, from students who are just starting out to people who have been playing chess for decades. And it's just such a heartwarming combination to see everyone playing chess together and sharing joy over this game.
Three sisters smashed chess's greatest records, and it all started with an experiment. Their father, Laszlo Polgar, believed that anyone could be a genius, and he set out to prove it with his three daughters. At an early age, the eldest, Susan, showed an affinity for both chess and math, but her passion was at the chessboard. Susan became the best female chess player in the world by age 15. Their father nurtured his daughter's gift, and when it came time, he taught chess to both of Susan's sisters as well. Before they were even teenagers, Susan Sophia and Judith Polgar became world-renowned for their exceptional chess skill. At age 15, Judith Polgar became the youngest person to achieve a Grandmaster title, an incredible chess record which had been held by Bobby Fischer for 34 years. Judith quickly climbed the ranks in chess, mercilessly destroying Grandmaster opponents and gaining victories and accolades. She became the number 7 player in the world, reaching a peak rating of 2735 and defeated 11 world champions, including Garry Kasparov. At Rome in 1989, Sophia made history with an incredible 2900 rating performance, one of the best ever recorded to that date. She later decided to pursue other avenues than chess, but according to Laszlo, she had the most talent. These three sisters defied the norms at the time and became champions. To this day, they fight for equality in chess and continue to inspire the next generation.
I try to be the person to help kids learn chess and through chess to be more successful in life.
The Polgars left a legacy both on the board and in the world.
Looking for new ways to enjoy chess? Check out our schedule of Chess.com community events today. Mondays, play Rapid Opening Roulette and expand your opening repertoire with a new opening each month. Tuesdays, compete against other untitled players in Untitled Tuesday. Battle your way to the top in Arena Kings on Wednesdays. Join the crazy fun of the Variants Community Series each Thursday. And finish the week off each Saturday with the blistering Community Bullet Brawl. All happening in the Community Club on Chess.com.
Obviously, don't go and do that.
Hey, you do whatever you like.
We can't condone anything of the sort.
No, we can't live!
I'd classify trading as a game, really, that you're playing with competitors and basically every market participant in the world. My path, I came in as a poker player, but I think that the main thing that everybody has in common is a sense of competitiveness and interest in gaming and strategy in general. Yes, you can actually use gaming skills for your career and for something to do on a day-to-day basis.
And welcome back, everyone, to the 2024 spring season of the Collegiate Chess League presented by SIG. Joe, we just saw UTRGV beating Athens by just 1 point, but right now we have Mizzou against Dallas coming up. What an exciting matchup.
Yeah, honestly, I was expecting match 2 to be the close one, right? But it turns out Athens and UT Rio Grande Valley, that was as close as it gets, literally one game difference maker there. So we will be very lucky if this match is as close and exciting as the one we just saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Mizzou and Dallas faced off earlier in the season, and that turned out to be quite a convincing victory for Mizzou. They beat them 11-5, and surprisingly, the worst performing player on the Mizzou team was their board number 1, Oparin.
Yeah, that's actually very shocking. Oparin, definitely one of the best players, not only in the league, but perhaps even in the world. He just played in the American Cup, and actually could have missed this match if he wasn't eliminated. So maybe you know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I'm sure Oparin would, I'm sure he would have loved to stay in the American Cup. It's a double elimination format, but in round number 1, he lost to Fabiano Caruana. In a run in the first round of the elimination bracket, he lost to Sam Sevian. So 2 very strong players. But yeah, that does mean that the American Cup has already come to an end for him. But fortunately for him, he can play in the Collegiate Chess League in this matchup against Dallas. And yeah, look at the Mizzou team. I mean, Oparin over 3,000, Antipov in the 2900s, and then they're board 3 and 4 over 2,700. Dallas, a very well-rounded team. 2870, 2860 on board number 1 and 2, and on the board 3 and 4 they have 2730 and 2750. So Mizzou definitely a favorite, but not by a super big margin. Dallas can definitely create an upset here, I think.
Yeah, Dallas and Mizzou, both teams with 4 players all over 2,700. So well-balanced, well-rounded, as you said. I think the difference maker here is the top 2 boards from Mizzou, especially keeping an eye out for Antipov, who has historically been their point scorer. But Dallas, we saw them lose earlier in the season to them. They have a new player joining on this matchup here today, David Brodsky, and we see a look here at all 8 players ready to go. Mizzou at the top, Dallas on the bottom, and Oparin looks like he's parked because he's in a room. He's not playing from his car this week.
Yeah, no, Oparin, he's probably in the Chase Park Plaza. That's the hotel where the players were staying during the American Cup. So yeah, he's not playing, so he's probably just in his room. playing the Collegiate Chess League match from there. And we are off, Joe, as we speak. I see the first moves coming through in the game between Andrei Makovey and Grigoriy Oparin. Grigoriy is playing the classical Sicilian with the black pieces. And wow, the players are playing super quickly. So do you think they prepared for this matchup or not really?
I think Oparin's just kind of in his prep, right? Like, he unfortunately had a disappointing result at the American Cup, like you said, but a wonderful opportunity for him to really prove that he's deserving of one of these top grandmaster spots and getting invites to these tournaments. I think even getting knocked out, he still won a significant amount of prize money. Am I right? Do you know?
Yeah, it's not bad playing in those tournaments. Yeah, it sounds tough being eliminated after 3 days, but after 3 days, I think you already made like $10,000. So life could be worse. Anyway, we have the classical Sicilian here, Queen C7, pretty typical move. And I guess Black wants to go B5. I'm a little bit puzzled by this move, Rook to G1 by Makovey. What does he have in mind? Does he want to go G4 or something?
Rook to G1. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Obviously, he's castled queenside already, and Black's still yet to castle. But if they do go kingside, White's going to be ready for this kingside attack. So we do see the move G4, as you called it, bishop to C6, taking the long diagonal. And if our rook was still on H1, then the bishop would be pointing at that rook. So now the rook doesn't have to worry about that still, and White can continue with that pawn storm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so maybe just move like bishop e3 or bishop all the way back to c1, followed by g5. Looks pretty natural for Makovey. And we see the move f4 instead, which looks very natural, but your bishop on g5 is now a little bit blocked in. And perhaps what Grigoriy can do here is maybe move like h6, and after bishop h4, I was going to maybe, let's put this on the board. Are there tactics like knight takes e4? And my idea is this. If you take an e7, I want to take here with check. And if you take, now I take the bishop, and black should be doing quite fine. If instead you take an e4, wait, so here, maybe I just take your knight first. And again, if you take the bishop, I take on c2. And if you take on e4, you take an h4, and black is one a pawn. So maybe this could be on Grigori's radar.
Yeah, that first line, I think maybe a move deeper after king takes back on e7. Was there queen takes g7, or was that too risky?
That was definitely there, but maybe black was still fine. Instead, Grigoriy goes queenside castles, which is not as common in the Sicilian, but in the classical Sicilian, sometimes this happens. Sometimes the king sits safer here than kingside castle. So let's see what Makovey is going to do here. I don't know. The position should be approximately balanced. Again, I'm not a big fan of this bishop on g5. I feel like it's a little bit stuck here because now it's difficult to go for the move on a g5. I think maybe what Grigoriy wanted to avoid is taking White taking on f6 and then taking the pawn on d6, but now it's protected.
That makes sense. Yeah, I chalk this up as kind of like almost like a psychological win for Makovey, right? He pushed g4, he pushed f4. Black castled queenside. That, as you said, is less common, right? But he does it perhaps out of necessity, or perhaps out of fear of this pawn storm on the king side. So we have both sides castled queenside, and White's connecting the rooks. We see king to b8, very common idea. And you mentioned this bishop on g5, a little trapped, a little stuck. I'm wondering if we ever want to play f5, but I'm assuming will be met with e5.
Yeah, f5 probably will be met with e5. Also, again, in case this bishop on g5 is unprotected, you always have to watch out for tactics with a knight takes e4. So Makovey is doing fine here on the board, but on the clock he's already falling 2 minutes behind. So let's see what he's going to do. Grigoriy, one of his strengths is generally that he plays quite fast and puts a lot of pressure on the clock as well.
Yeah, I'm loving Oparin's time management. He's barely used 40 seconds of his clock. Makovey, he's about to get under 2 minutes left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he goes queen f2. Okay, makes a lot of sense now. In case of h6, he can go bishop h4. The bishop will be protected. So there are no tactics with knight takes e4. And also now e5 doesn't hit the queen. So that pawn break in the center has become less appealing for Oparin. So let's see what he's going to do. He made all of these natural moves, right? He developed his pieces, went queenside castles, tuck the king into b8. But what do you do now, right? This is always a difficult moment. Maybe a move like h5, trying to chip away white's pawn structure. You cannot go g5 as the bishop is there. You can go h3, but I would assume that this trade is in black's favor as the rook gets an open h-file.
Yeah, that's definitely a way to find some activity. I also like queen f2 is played now because white had just played bishop to d3, offering extra support over the e4 pawn. So now the queen can tuck back. But here, h5, exactly as you called it, keeping the initiative, and white just calmly responds, h3. But now that rook is a happy piece on an open h-file.
Yeah, no, for sure. And pawn on g4 is a little bit tender. You cannot go rook h1 easily, as then you hang it. So let's see what Grigoriy is going to do here. I mean, you can maybe slide the rook over to c8. It's a half open line after all. Maybe queen out to a5. To me, it's not obvious at all what his line should be.
I
and that's
see
why he's also
eval bar swinging back and forth for Antipov's game.
Let's have a look. His games are always wild. Let's see
Can we
what's
go back
going
a
on.
couple moves?
Wait, I see a lot of red here on my end. Okay, let's see. So a4, all of this looks pretty natural. 97. So apparently, okay, rook e1 was better. Here, okay, white took. Knight went here. Pawn takes, take. Queen c5, bishop c6. Bishop e2, big blunder.
Ooh. Yeah,
Queen
what was
a2.
Oh, queen a2 was just picking up a piece? No.
I mean, you have to do this, but then stuff like knight g4 and bishop e6 is crushing.
Wow.
Queen e7, bishop here. Yeah, and here, knight g. Why not knight g4? I don't see how you're protecting f2. Queen c8 was played instead. Trying to go here. Knight f1 by Antipov.
We're trying to figure out these grandmasters are playing like it's blitz champs.
Yeah. Knight g4 is still great here for black. I mean, you have to go knight e3, and then you take in queen g4, and that still looks super tough to deal with. I mean, those moves should not... Oh, wait, Antipov is playing with black. Oh.
Yes.
Knight h5, that's not a good move by Antipov. Okay, he wants to take on g3. Is the f pawn a spin? Bishop c1. Great find by Balaji.
This all stemmed from this bishop b2 move, fianchettoing a bishop behind a pawn that was going nowhere. So the bishop comes back to c1.
Yeah. Now, in case of takes, you lose a pawn, but you're just in time to snap off the knight, making sure you don't get mated. And after queen takes, there's rook a6, and all of a sudden, white's crushings, because you lose a bishop over there on the queen side. So let's see what Antipov is going to do. Rook a6 is definitely a big threat from white, and I think it's the right decision that he castles. Bishop d1 What is this game? Knight d3? What are we watching, Joe? What is this? Bishop d1 played after a
and
second.
it's still missed. Antipov just doesn't want to attack the f2 pawn. Now he has to take on f4.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if he takes on g3, then knight d3 still.
Exactly, yeah. So you have to get rid of the knight, but the problems don't end there. Maybe you just recapture with the pawn, and after takes, you take the pawn again, and you have devastating pressure on the pawn on f2. So Balaji in big trouble here, and that will be a nice start for Mizzou. I mean, if you win your games with white, that's nice, but if you win your games with black, that's going to go a long way for winning the match for your team.
Can you take on f4 and then play rook a6?
Take and rook a6. Probably it's an option. You can also stick with the queen here. Lots of options for Antipov. Let's see which one he's going to go for. I mean, he must know that he's in a great position here, but he might be looking for something decisive, and not quite sure if that's there.
So I liked the pawn takes idea because we can't take really on g3, but if pawn takes, do we then have knight d4?
Right. Knight d4 is a great move. Yeah, hitting the queen and the bishop. Fortunately for black, he can go queen all the way back to c8 to defend the bishop. Antipov also up on time. Let's see if he can close this one out. I mean, he's got great chances here. He's up on time. He's got a great position. But he's paused to think for a little bit now.
Yeah, we missed so many different attacks on f2. There was knight d3, knight g4, like multiple times. So, I mean, hey, round one, these players may be a little nervous. They just watched this UTRGV and Athens match, and witnessed, tons of opportunities for both sides. That match legitimately could have gone either way. It was a one game difference, and we thought that was going to be an easy clinch for Texas. So these two teams, mistakes are deadly. Any game, any board, any blunder could be the match, right? If you think about it from the full picture. So the season is on the line for both these teams.
For sure, yeah. And Antipov finally decides to take with the queen. Okay, now the knight has to go. All right, so you don't want to take on g3. It takes on e4 because if you would have taken on g3, rook a6 would have been devastating. But now everything looks pretty good for Antipov. He's up a pawn, rook a6, hitting the bishop, but just rook b8, defending it. And black still firmly in the driver's seat. Bishop pair, extra pawn in the center. But, white has some active pieces. The pawn on b5 is a little bit tender, so this is not over just yet. I like the move bishop d3, though, by Antipov, kind of neutralizing white's pieces a little bit.
Okay, so white takes the long diagonal, but I was wondering if bishop e2 maybe would have been better.
g6, but now knight e4. And wait, how do you protect this pawn? I mean, you can give up the bishop, but this bishop is kind of passive. This bishop is active. If Balaji finds knight e4...
I'm not worried about the pawn. I'm worried about knight f6 check into d7.
Oh, that's a nasty threat. Yeah, no, that's a good one. Wait, what do you do? Yeah, bishop c7 hangs this. This is getting out of control. In case you take, white can also just go rook a8 after. Trade of the rooks, go into an opposite color bishop endgame, and you're going to lose. Wait, knight f6, d7, your move. Is he going to find it?
Bok, sub me in.
Yeah, no, and he finds it. Yeah. Maybe you should play on our team. Yeah, I didn't see that coming yet. Check knight d7.
Oh
wow.
my god!
What? He hangs the
oh my!
Not even the bishop.
Are we watching the right match, Bok? What is this?
Joe, what
amateur hour
right now? I have no other way to describe it apart from saying that this is rainbow chess. Like, look at the moves. It's all like red and orange, a little bit of blue in there, but a lot of errors. 95. Yeah, Balaji's going to win this one. That's a big win for Dallas.
I mean, yeah, this is Antipov. This is the guy that we say he gets the points for Mizzou. Not their best start, and I mean, we got to look at some of the other games here. I've had enough of this one. Yeah, resigned. He had enough too.
He played king b7, and after his move, he realized, he mouse slipped. He even mouse slipped, or maybe I don't know what happened. But anyway, Balaji gets a big win for Dallas. Let's see what's going on the other boards. Luka gets a win for Mizzou, so the score is even. And then let's see, we're in a time scramble here in the game between Makovey and Grigoriy Oparin. Looking pretty even. The entire king side got traded off. Will we see a repetition here, or is Greg going to push for the win? He goes for e7.
Yeah, Oparin top board. He's going to go for the dub. I think he's the team leader. We have another result. Brodsky and Raja get a draw. So the team scores all knotted up here, tied 1.5 right now. So winner of this game could give their team an early lead.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, king e2. Maybe something like knight c6, trying to trade off the queens. Looks pretty decent. Both players less than 10 seconds. Rook h7, queen e2. Makovey is moving back and forth, but seems to be quite fine. Rook f7. Okay.
Are they both moving back? No. I think Oparin's going to push. And I like this. I like black being aggressive. Oh, they draw.
And this is a repetition that's so random, but wow, a very back and forth first round, which ends in a 2-2 tie, which I think is a very fair score.
Yeah, it's tied up still. Antipov still maybe has to recover from some questionable misses. A lot of misses, actually. Very uncharacteristic from Mizzou's board too. But when it's all said and done, round one is in the books, tied 2-2. The tie is going to be broken in a later round. So do you think Mizzou's going to keep giving up these opportunities, or do you think they're going to get their head back into the game and, like we said, be the favorite to win this match?
Yeah, that was a crazy game between Antipov and Balaji. Keep in mind that Antipov was winning as early as move 10 or so with the black pieces. Had he won that, they would be looking at a very comfortable 3-1 lead. Now it's all to play for. So yeah, Antipov has to step up his game. I think for the rest of the Mizzou team is doing pretty fine. Luka manages to score a mini upset, if you will, taking down one of the strongest players on the UTD team. So I guess if Antipov manages to get back into his normal shape, they have pretty good chances.
Yeah, and if I'm Dallas, I'm gonna try to take as much advantage of Antipov being off his game as possible. I'm going to do the best that I can. I mean, I'm calling out the moves myself, Bach. If you put me in, I'm gonna find that win. So this is Dallas's opportunity to punch their ticket into the semifinals.
Yeah, no, this is a big matchup. Yeah, again, I think Mizzou's the slight favorite, but not by a big margin whatsoever. So round number 2 should be getting underway any second now. We see the players getting ready. Oparin's playing Balaji, and Oparin opens up with knight c3. That's quite a shocker to me, because I know Oparin is a very classical player. He likes to play the English, he likes to play the Ready, the Catalan, all of that stuff. But instead he plays the Jobava London, an opening that is kind of known to go for a quick... knight b5. That's knight c6 is not the move, knight b5. That's the advantage of Jobava London. There's quite a few traps. Knight b5.
Okay,
but that's not the move either. What is this, Joe?
I don't know, Bach. I don't know. How do you like your chances facing the winner of this match?
Pretty good. Yeah. Again, if everyone's in good shape, we should have very good chances. I mean, overall, we have a very good team. I mean, our board 3, Robbie, is still rated 3000. E5, and knight b5, that's like the whole point of the Jobava London.
Yeah, both players missing it. I mean, I was thinking Oparin was like fresh off his tournament prep, and you said he's playing maybe an opening that he doesn't normally play. So maybe he's trying to avoid prep for some reason. But clearly, both players missed knight b5, and this isn't the first time in this match. We saw Antipov miss a couple of knight moves, attacking a weak. I believe it was f7 in that game. This game, it's c7. Very similar ideas, right? Bishop and knight working together. I mean, this is kind of like, you learn a lot of this out of the fried liver opening, which was my bread and butter when I was on the rise to 2,000 Chess.com blitz. And these players, pretty close to 3,000, right? So what's going on, Bach?
Yeah, now Balaji is doing quite fine. And actually, I saw Balaji on the broadcast, since we're on delay. After knight c6, he was shaking his head. He had his hand in his hair. It's like, what the? Because he knew knight b5 and black's in big trouble. But Oparin didn't see it, and he, definitely seemed relieved. a3. I think Balaji is doing great here. Just take the pawn. You have a big center. You have the bishop pair. What more do you want out of the opening playing with a black piece? This looks like a dream.
Well, kingside pawn structure is not great if I can be picky, right? Normally black maybe could castle that way, but Oparin, so Balaji with the black pieces, where is he going to put his king?
I think he's probably going to go queenside castle. That's what I would do here. I would play a move like queen e7, followed by castles here. You can also, he goes queen b6, but now, knight a4 maybe, hitting the queen and bishop.
Does that win a piece?
Well, there's still queen a5. But queen b6 to me looks quite awkward.
Okay. Yeah, queen a5. We have b4, but then our knight falls. So probably you would block with
b4. I like, Joe, I like b4 as well, hitting the bishop. Bishop b2. Now, do not take. Knight a4 traps your queen. Do not take. Maybe castles. Maybe d4. d4? Wait, d4 looks very interesting. You should hit the knight a4 check. I think maybe your move was the move, Joe. b4, hitting the bishop. And in case the bishop moves, you can take here. Now, there might have been knight takes b4, but then knight a4 is what he might have missed instead of bishop b2.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wonder what the cap score is for these games right now.
I had a quick glance at this game. The cap score is already down to 73.9 against 78. And the last game was something similar. It wasn't very high. e4, nice move by Balaji hitting the knight. The knight has to step back to d2, and that's what Greg does. Maybe play a move like bishop b7. Make sure the knight a4 no longer forks your queen and the bishop. That looks like a good idea.
Yeah, we're used to the scores, a lot of these games and players, they're up in the 90s most of the time. And we even have that stat actually recorded. Knight a4, like you said, and there it hits. So Oparin going after this bishop pair, I guess the dark square bishop. So there's no queen check to get out of this time because our knight is now on d2.
Queen a5, but yeah, now you can just take and take the pawn on e4. It's not over yet, though. I mean, there's queen e5 hitting the knight. Eyeing b2 as well, but maybe Greg can just defend the knight with a move like either queen d3 or bishop d3. It feels like the worst is definitely behind him, and white should be a little bit better here.
I'm like trying to get a little frisky and take on d4, but
that hangs
queen
the
takes our,
knight.
yeah, exactly. And there's no forks with like d5 quite yet, and our bishop's pinned, and our g pawn's hanging. So, yeah, interesting.
All right, so let's see what Greg is going to do. He can move the knight, he can defend it with the bishop or the queen. Bishop d3, yeah, looks quite natural to me. I think now Balaji is going to take on e3, also eyeing the pawn on b2. And maybe Grigoriy will just castle out of all of the tension, and Balaji might do the same. So we see pawn takes c3, you can take, I think, okay, this looks fine. Maybe now f5, hitting the knight, and hitting the pawn on e3 looks pretty fine for black.
Yeah, this is interesting. And is black going to be able to take on e3 with a check?
Yep, no, for sure. But black does have these double pawns. So in the endgame, white would still a little bit better. So I assume that Grigoriy wants to meet queen takes e3 check with queen e2. It's not the end of the world for black, though. I mean, white should be a little bit better, given the fact that, once again, black has these double pawns on f7 and f5. But, you know, the game goes on. We see a trade. Yeah, Grigoriy should definitely be better here.
Yeah, shout out to Hunter Wiz, who rated you with the party of 34. Welcome, everyone. We're in the quarterfinals of Collegiate Chess League Spring 2024 season. This is Division 1. We just watched a crazy match between Athens and UT Rio Grande Valley. So Texas won by the slimmest of margins, 1 game difference. And they're going to move on to play against Webster next week in the semifinals. And here we're watching Mizzou versus Dallas in the quarterfinals. Winner is going to play against Bok next week in the semifinals as well. So you guys tune in at the right time. This is round 2. This match is all knotted up 2-2. We haven't looked at any of the other games yet, Bok. I was thinking maybe we look at Antipov.
Yeah, let's see how Antipov is going to recover from that last loss. Okay, he's playing with the white pieces. He seems to be better here. Thought his last move was given a question mark. Maybe now queen c5 for Makovey. He's got the idea of rook e6, putting a lot of pressure on that pawn on f6. But like I said, black always has the queen trade in his back pocket, so he might take advantage of that at the right moment. Wait, by the way, the moment we tune out of that game between Oparin and Balaji blunder, let's have a very quick look. It seemed like he was doing fine, but Joe, what is this? Bishop c4? Free pawn, thank you very much, and white just
with
seems
check.
to be on a way to victory here. Yeah, with check. Wow, that's a shocker.
Okay, well, great opportunity now for Oparin.
Yeah.
Looking to simplify, trade some rooks, maybe.
He has to win this game. He has to win this game. He's the board 1 for Mizzou. He's up a pawn here. He has to win this one. Let's see where UTD can potentially come back. We have this game between Brodsky and Luka. I like Luka's chances. He's got a bishop pair, and especially this light square bishop is on a post on this diagonal, and he's up a minute and 15 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, Luka, this is another opposite side castles game. This rook to g8 move, I'm questioning. I guess you want to defend that g pawn so that you can bring the bishop out, but you don't want to push the g pawn because then you're going to get forked on f6. But we've already seen some knight forks, so I'm not ruling it out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think, like you said, he wants to defend the g-pawn to be able to go bishop e7. And then, yeah, I don't think you're in a rush to go g6, because g6 can be with bishop f6 or with knight f6, and you're going to have to give up your bishop. But maybe just bishop e7 for now, and then see what you're going to do later. Maybe move like f5, gaining some space on that side of the board. Bishop e7 by Luka. I like his chances a lot. He's up 2 minutes. Nice position here. I mean, this bishop on e6 is such a monster. It's always going to put pressure on that knight over here.
Yeah, I'm thinking, like, can we unpin our knight and bring the rook from f1 to b1 and just play for like b4?
I like that idea. I think that's a great idea, Joe. Yeah, you're in better shape than most of the players that we're watching here. Yeah, maybe instead of the Collegiate Chess League commissioner, you should play.
Well, I think having you as my co-commentator, some of your talents probably rubbing off on me just through like osmosis or something.
Exactly. Well, in the meantime, I see that Antipov is crushing it. I don't know what went wrong here for Makovey. I mean, white was a little
He's
bit
up
better.
a queen. Wait, how did he win?
Let's have a look.
You
So we
mentioned
left
a queen
after
trade.
95. So trade. Rook c8, big mistake. b6, queen e8. Bishop b5. Okay, white's much better here. Oh,
Rook
there's not much
e8.
to do about this. Uh-oh. Then I went
Yikes.
here. The queen got trapped. No, Antipov was going to win. So that's a quick recovery from him. And
Man, he didn't trade queens with queen c5. That was all shout out to your idea. And that's why we trade queens, folks, so we don't Botez gambit them away.
Exactly. Yep. All right, so things are heating up. Antipov takes the lead for Mizzou. Now let's have a look at this game between Raja and Harshit. Looking pretty even, but if anything, I would slightly prefer Black's position, especially after this move, because the pawn on b3 is pretty weak. So what do you do now? Maybe just bishop a7, and then this stays in the position. I like Raja's chances here a lot. Yeah, bishop a7, good move. Now, Mizzou is looking to do some damage in this round.
Can we push that b pawn?
Yeah, but then e3 is hanging.
Yikes. Yeah, that's a good bishop back there on a7. So Ivan trying to go after it, but because Black had played a6, a7 is now available for that bishop to stay on that diagonal, pointing directly at White's king. And now White is in a pickle. They have to decide, how do I proceed? And here we see the active approach, bishop to e5, going after a piece, going after the d pawn. But that b pawn remains a weakness, a target for that bishop to swoop up with a tempo on the rook on d1 as well as the knight on a4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's see what Raja is going to do. He could go for some sacrifices, but it does hang the knight. I'm not quite sure if it will be enough. I don't see a great square for the knight, to be honest. I mean, maybe you just move it like to b7, and then in case white takes, you take on b3. Knight e8 might be a bit of a miss. Ivan takes, bishop takes b3, but what do you do there? Maybe you just move the rook to d2 or d3 and hope that things work out okay?
Yeah, I think d2 makes more sense, and we see that because if you go to d3, bishop c4 might be annoying.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. All right, so rook d2. Raja still a little bit better here, but it's not that much. You know, some trades take place. The pressure will dissipate a little bit. He takes on d4. I guess you take with the rook or with the pawn, and after that, knight c5 comes into position, hitting bishop and pawn. He takes with the pawn. I would still like Raja's position. The pawn on b2 is isolated, the pawn on d4 is isolated, rook c8, very natural move, and knight c5 is actually a blunder because of rook takes. And the rook on d2 would be a hang. So we see knight c3 instead by Ivan.
Yeah, let's take a quick look at Brodsky versus
I saw that evil bar swinging back and forth. Yeah. With a lot of, let's call them rainbow moves. What is going on here? So Brodsky is winning.
Games.
And
go back. Show us
what Fidelis team.
What was this f6 move?
Well, knight f6 is going to fork Black. Brodsky should win this, despite him being down 8 seconds.
But he's blunder prone, as we've seen.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what... Okay, takes knight f6, forking everything. Okay, take there, yeah.
So he gets the
exchange
back.
Queen e5, hitting this and setting up d5, as now there's no more e5. d5 looks...
Wow, going in the wrong way.
That seems like a miss. Maybe just h3, creating some look.
Put the rook back on e1. No.
f6.
The other way.
Rook g6, great move, setting up rook g7.
Ooh, rook g7's a heater. Okay, rook f7 is a defense, but yes, the g pawn is hanging.
Okay, rook f7, rook move by Luka.
Okay.
Takes the pawn. Queen a3 though, queen a3 and setting up checkmate. Wait, that's it. Luka has to go for it. Yeah, and now he's going pawn hunting. h3, you have to create some luft. No. a4, there goes a4. h4, but b5, and you stop h5, and this a pawn is going to run super quickly. Queen c6, good move. Where does the rook go? This is anyone's game, Joe.
Can you give a check first?
Yep, king up. Okay, goes queen f5. I think the queen trade would be in Black's favor. This a pawn is super fast.
Oh, but take trade rooks. Wow, that's it. They both queen, but yeah, one's with check, and there goes that c pawn and defends the c4 pawn.
It's not over yet though. Queen d5. Okay, maybe there's still potential for a perpetual. Queen d3. Nice move by Luka. He's now ready to set the c pawn in motion. Queen c6. King back. Check. No, check does nothing.
Yeah, pushing the pawn. Oparin and Antipop both won, so Mizzou's up 2-0 right now.
Mitchell check here, and then Queen C6. Wait, he has thrown it. He's thrown it.
Is there a queen block?
But then Queen C6, hitting both the pawns, hitting C3 and C7. Throw here by Luka. And now, wait, maybe Brodsky can win. Take on C7, and there goes the
D now D6. Oh D6 my gosh! Push. Is there?
There's C2 if you want to be allowed. Oh. C5, take, and it's just a draw. Take and D7, D7, C2. This should just be a draw, but you never know. You never know.
Still a weak king for black.
I would prefer to be black here, as your pass pawn is further advanced.
True. Check. One extra move there.
There,
check. And Raja gets a win. So Mizzou almost sweeping this round, 3 up right now. So huge result for Mizzou after a shaky start.
King E2 only move. Don't think. King E3 hangs. Yeah, only move. He finds. Okay. Okay. Check. Or okay, check anywhere. Both are fine. Okay, so let's see. Queen E4. King there.
Are we ever pushing our G pawn at some point?
You know, you could do that. But black's gonna push as well. Check. Okay. Check. This should be a draw. Now I wonder if Lucas aware of the match situation.
Well, either way, Mizzou's going to be happy after this round 2. So shaky start round 1, but they're back in action. Great round 2 for them. They didn't drop a single game, only one draw that we saw here between Luka and David Brodsky. So that gives us Mizzou leading by 3 with 5.5 to 2.5. Dallas is going to have to answer back.
Yeah, no, they have to win the last round to bring it back a little bit and to, you know, still give them a chance going into the final round. I mean, 3 points is definitely still surmountable, but I'm sure they want to strike in the next round. And, you know, they've had their chances. They just haven't been sharp in the critical moment. They made some unfortunate blunders here and there. So let's hope for them that they can step it up in the round number 3.
Yeah, so luckily for Dallas, we have a little bit of a break before the second half, so they're going to have to recollect themselves. But before you guys tune away, be sure to follow the Collegiate Chess League on X, Instagram, and Discord to stay connected to all things college chess. From podcast updates to match recap reels, the CCL socials will keep you covered on your favorite players, teams, and rising stars. Before you go, stick around because we still have the second half of this match. Mizzou's looking to hold on to their lead and clinch a spot in the semifinals.
It's not a women's game, they said, but millions of us are here. From every corner of the world,
new journeys and chess appear.
From engineering to partnerships
and new events, we premiere.
The women who power Chess.com
grow a great game in their career.
We celebrate the early champs,
courageous every year,
against the odds and circumstance.
A new wave, they pioneered.
Handing over to the present day,
our rising stars we cheer.
And now we dream that little girls
become champions without fear.
Around the world we come together
and meet up every year.
To all the women of Chess.com, we want this year to be your year.
The 4th cycle of the Variants Community Series is the most explosive variant yet, Atomic Chess, where every capture on the board triggers a fatal explosion for the pieces around it. 6 weekly arena tournaments, held every Thursday, will be followed by a championship event with cash prizes, including a $1,000 first place prize. The 3rd and final weekly arenas will be streamer arenas, featuring gifted subs as prizes. Win any of these events to qualify for the championship, and show the world what you've got. Join the Variants Club today to learn more about upcoming events, how to participate, and much, much more. See you in the arena on Chess.com.
But she's not going to move it because it's defended. Oh,
she did it!
You
predicted it, Levy!
I just said don't go there! We need a compilation. Chess.com social media crew, look through the PogChamps games.
Oh, baby! Let's
and
go!
Find how many times I called the move before it happened.
Okay, Levy, you asked for it. Here we go.
It's almost a
Darius
stalemate.
knows what he's doing. He's gonna try to force it.
Andrea, there's a stalemate coming. Pawn here, take, king g4. He pushes and it's a stalemate. Oh my goodness.
Well, you clearly, I'm sure you taught Frank about stalemate. Oh.
No!
Okay, just don't push. I blame you for all of this. This is your manifestation.
Oh my goodness! Bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes, loses the bishop. And if that happens, I will be heartbroken because you could have just...
How's your heart, Abby? Is it feeling okay? Your heart? How is it?
You can't even script this stuff, my man. Defend the bishop again! I just forgot!
Okay. Okay.
His position is hard to lose as long as it stays how it is.
Yeah, for sure. Unless he starts going totally crazy with something like pawn to g.
What is your ability today? You literally said that in real time.
Welcome back to the Collegiate Chess League presented by SIG. We've had a lot of chess already played today, but plenty of chess left, not only for today, but for the rest of the playoffs, actually. We have next weekend a doubleheader back-to-back, Saturday and Sunday. March 23rd, we have the semifinals with Benjamin Bok, no longer commentating, but now going to be a player. He's going to play against the winner of the match we're watching right now. And we have Webster taking on UT Rio Grande Valley. And then the day after that, on Sunday, March 24th, we have the finals and the third place match. That's where we're going to crown this season's champion. Is it going to be SLU? Is it going to be someone else? SLU's going to defend their title. And then we have April 4th. FIDE Candidates Round 1 is starting. What an exciting year for chess coming up. So, Bok, how do you feel about your chances between the winner of today's match we're watching right now?
Yeah, no, I think our chances are pretty good. We beat Mizzou by a very convincing score with 11.5, 4.5. But I'm sure they will be coming into, I mean, if they win this match, they'll be coming into the semifinals with vengeance. Of course, we cannot count Dallas out at all. So I do consider us the favorites, but we'll have to bring our A game. I mean, these teams are very strong. So let's see how it's going to play out in the last 3 rounds. Right now, things are looking great for Mizzou. So let's see if Texas can come back in this one.
Yeah, 3-point lead, that's going to be tough to come back from. But we saw in that last match, Athens almost erased a 4-point deficit with 1 round to go. So with any rounds left remaining, Dallas has a chance to come back. Only down by 3, right? Only down by 3. They could take the lead at any given moment. They could take the lead right now in this 3rd round, which is about to start.
I mean, 3 points is still doable. I mean, we also had a match against Dallas where we were leading by 3 going into the final round, and we almost lost that one. Where, I don't know if you remember, Robbie, he saved a draw by a miracle, and it went to like triple overtime, and we won. But anyway, the games are off. We see Oparin playing with the black pieces against Ivan Sheetcomb. So we have a queen's gambit decline here, and a very early bishop d7, g4 hitting the bishop. So let's see where Greg is going to go. Is he going to go bishop g6 or bishop e6? Both are possible, and he finally decides to go to e6.
Yeah, g4, aggressive early on from Ivan. And is he going to follow up with h4? No, only h3. So do you think white is just going to castle queenside, or like what's the idea behind this early pawn storm?
I think really one of the ideas behind the move g4 is to make sure that this bishop has to step back to the slightly more passive e6 square. Knight of 3 now by Ivan. Okay, so let's see what Greg is going to do. I mean, h5 probably runs the g5, and then your knight on g8 is a little bit stuck. So maybe he'll play something like knight of 6. Let's see what he's going to do. I mean, a lot of pieces still on the board here. A very interesting position right out of the opening. In the meantime, by the way, the other games have also lifted off. The games between Brodsky and Antipov, and Luka and Makovey, and now Harshit and Balaji have also started their game.
Wow, g5 from Oparin. But yeah, so much chess. You can't go wrong looking at any of these games. But these players definitely attacking early before they've even castled.
h5, white takes. So now you can recapture with the rook, but you step into this discovery. However, I don't see a great way for white to take advantage. If you go knight takes 8, knight takes g5, hitting the rook, then black takes the knight and saves the rook and just wins a piece. So let's see what Ivan is going to do. This pawn on h3 is a little bit weak. Maybe knight e5 with a tempo, but I guess you can just go knight f6 in response.
Yeah, and that's looking like the path we're seeing. Knight e5 was probably the only good forward discovery, and knight to f6. Why not defend and develop at the same time? So that's exactly what we see. And both players, they still haven't castled yet. So probably a queen move from white at some point. Maybe looking at b3 as you're highlighting and going after that weak b7 pawn, but black can do the same. Just bring out the queen, defend the pawn, both sides ready to get castled queenside.
I like Grigoriy's chances here. He's up almost a minute on the clock. Instead, we see queen c2 by Ivan. The thing is, this pawn on h3 is a little bit weak, so after potential queen b3 and queen b6, the endgame should always be quite pleasant for black. He has got the slightly better pawn structure. g4 instead, hitting the pawn, okay. I mean, white can do a couple of things. White can go h4. White can also just decide to sacrifice the pawn when you move like queenside castle. I mean, you can take, but you get bishop b2. You get quite a few moves with tempo. And then also f4, f5 could be an idea, trying to trap this bishop over here. So let's see. That's what I would probably do here. Just go queenside castle, sack the pawn, and play for the initiative.
Giving up that pawn. Okay. I feel like h4, you get a pass pawn, right? How's that? That seems also like good choices here for Ivan. But as you mentioned, a little low on time. So he does go for h4. Computer doesn't like it as much. But I feel like people are just naturally are trying not to give up material. And that's kind of what Ivan has done here, pushing the pawn as opposed to giving it up for the extra moves. We see the bishop take back the knights, and now maybe black's going to move their knight exactly back to d7, attacking the bishop, opening up a new attack on h4 with not only the bishop but also the queen. That pawn would have been hard to defend, but no, queen a5 first.
Yeah, queen e5 by Grigoriy. Okay, let's see what Ivan's going to do here. Maybe queenside castles. Getting out of the spin looks pretty natural. And then Grigoriy can do the same thing. You can just go queenside castles. And again, I feel like black should be a little bit better. The pawn on h4 is weak. You can now move your other rook to h8. Bishop d3 instead is the move by Ivan. Okay, so I would just go here. And yeah, I would think black should be better. I mean, you sometimes have to be careful not to allow tactics like knight b5 potentially in the future. But right now it seems unrealistic. And what Ivan could be doing here is waiting for Grigoriy to castle. And after castles, then go for something like a3, move your king, and then go b4. Not b4 right away, as black could take, and your on a1 would be hanging, which is why you'd have to play a move like king e2 first.
Okay. Okay, I see. We're getting some ideas from Benjamin Bok on how his mind works, and maybe his opponents can rewatch this broadcast and see some of these attacking motifs.
Mm-hmm. In the meantime, Raja seems to be having a great position against Balaji. Queen g3, nice move hitting the spawn over here. Can black castle? That's really a big question. If you can't, I think you're in big trouble. But let's have a look. If you castle, there might be bishop c7. You cannot go queen e8 due to knight f6 check, and you lose your queen as the g pawn is pinned. And if you take, then maybe you just recapture with a knight or with a queen. And I don't know if black has enough there.
Wow. There's a knight just on d5. This is like, I feel like this is really common in some like Smith-Morrow gambit line. Like, what was this opening? Was this a Sicilian?
This was a Sicilian, yeah, but with a quick bishop e5, a Rossolimo.
Okay, yeah. So taking the knight, pawn takes back with the e-file opening up for the rook, discovered check on the king, and you would definitely. I mean, the computer's absolutely loving this position for white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this looks great for Raja. Just an initiative for free. I mean, like you said, sometimes these types of positions arise out of the Smith-Morrow gambit, where white has sacrificed the c-pawn. But here the material's even. Raja also having a very nice lead on the clock, so things are looking fantastic. Things are also looking good for Antipov. Look at this game right here. He's up a pawn, he's pushing his pawns on the king side, creating a nice initiative. And for Brodsky, it will never be easy to open up the position. You don't really want to do this, as then that bishop on a7 becomes an absolute monster. So I think Mizzou is looking to strike big in this round. We saw Raja having a great position, Antipov having a great position. And keep in mind, if they get 3 points in this round, the match is over.
I was just about to say the same thing, man. What are the odds the match is just over out of this round?
I think they're quite significant, which makes me pretty sad that I missed a prediction going into this match. I went all in on UTRGV beating Athens, but I missed this prediction. You know, I could have stacked up some more channel points.
Yeah, you've been absolutely a gambler in the chat. You've been putting money on yourself. You've gained some. Did I say money? I mean, it's
channel points. Yeah,
but I mean, hey, man, maybe we could start opening up some lines. Maybe in Vegas. Who knows? But anyways, yeah. How many channel points do you have?
I have 791k, but yeah, could have been more had I catch this prediction.
Never enough. I mean, I'm just below 300,000, but I haven't been gambling very much. But yeah, if you're in chat and you have more than Bok, definitely let us know. I wonder who has the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, with these predictions, you can stack up some channel points very quickly. You know, I mean, hey, if Slu's playing, to go all in on our team, and just double up. As easy as that.
Double up. I love it. Yeah. You heard it here first, folks. I mean, even looking at Oparin's, yeah. Actually, okay. So Luca and Andre get a draw on that board, and so 2.5 points is all Mizzou needs. 3 games left, and this is only round 3. Like, I thought Dallas maybe could have huddled at halftime and recollected themselves, but honestly, dude, it very well could go down right here, right now.
I think so too. Yeah, I mean, Raja is looking great. Antipov is looking great. Oparin has a slight advantage. Let's check back in that game. Looks pretty pleasant for black. Black's got the bishop pair. Pawn on h4 is a little bit weak. And at some point, maybe Grigoriy can start breaking on the queen side. It was like b5, b4. For the moment, the pawn on e4 is hanging, so very understandably, he defends it with the move f5. But the computer is giving it a miss. King b1, logical move by Ivan. Maybe now b5. I mean, it's really begging to be played, and there we have it on the board. But the computer doesn't like it. Oh, that's a nice maneuver. 92 to f4. Wow, I like that a lot. Hitting the rook, hitting the bishop, and if this bishop disappears, and Ivan finds it. Like, if Ivan wins this game, they stay in the match. But otherwise, this might just be over.
Yeah, honestly, kind of a must-need situation for Ivan because it does not look good at all for Dallas on the other two boards. I kind of want to look at, I mean, honestly, either of them. Both players are so low on time for Dallas. They're both under 20 seconds. So, I mean, take your pick, man. Which game do you think is going to end first?
Let's have a look. I think Raja is just crushing in materials. Even look at these bishops looking down in the black position. Raja still has 2 minutes and 20 seconds on his clock. Let's see what he's going to do. For the moment, the bishop is hanging. Also, by the way, isn't he just up a pawn? I think Raja's going to crush it here. To be honest, I wouldn't mind staying with the Oparin game, as that one looks very competitive. Oparin now also getting long time, especially with that knight coming to f4. He's got some problems to figure out. He goes bishop f4, bishop c4, rook back, and now b3 is a move, but maybe black just sacks and goes for the attack.
Man, b3 just looks so scary. Your a pawn is just going to be a goner there, attacked by both queen and bishop. So I agree with you. This game, it's still anyone's game. Other games, you would need a crazy mistake to turn it the other way. This game, it's still up for grabs.
Yeah, okay, now b3, because black's pieces have gone away a lot. Although it does hang upon an a3, goes queen c3 instead. Maybe looking at ideas like d5, a4 by Grigoriy.
Was b4 a move?
Well, they would have hung the bishop.
With check. Cruel.
Maybe now knight g6 is an idea. Hitting the rook in here, rook d1. Bishop b3 now for Oparin looks quite appealing. Rook h1 maybe. Rook e1 is his. Oh, but now b4 and Oparin is crashing through.
Wow. I love it. Putting the bishop where it's protected on b3, then b4, combining the best of the ideas. And now, I was going to say, white's king looked a little safer than black's king, but now, look at those bishops. Look at white's king. Look at the queen on the b file. This is
But it's not over yet. It's not over yet. I mean, you win in exchange, but now the king here is a little bit exposed. Maybe... Okay, I want to find... Yeah, bishop b5, knight f4, but the king sits very safe over here. Maybe he just had to sack that pawn. Queen f7, good move defending this.
Yeah,
Okay,
notice neither player wanted anything to do with that h-pawn. White not defending it, black not taking it. Opening the h-file would have been a death wish from Oparin. So he's using that pawn on h6 as a shield, as like an umbrella, keeping his king safe.
Right, but here comes the knight. It's not over yet, though, as the king is still somewhat safe on a1. Queen e7, maybe now knight f4. You just have to make sure never to blunder queen a3. That'll be checkmate. Queen 3.
Pawn to
this
a3.
Is still a game. This d5, d5.
Oh my
queen b4
gosh.
maybe, trying to trade off. Rook e8 instead, bishop f6. The evil bar swinging back and forth. Maybe knight e6 now. No, d6. Bishop e7.
I don't know what's happening.
Bishop e7.
What's going on?
Maybe get rid of the bishop.
Wait, 96? No. Okay.
d4 hitting the rook.
If the queen ever gets to d7.
95, knight f6 is coming. Wow. What's going on? d7? d7 just push the pawn. No, knight f.
Hitting the rook.
Doesn't...
This is crazy.
He's still doing well here. Okay, the rook is under attack. Where do you go?
Both players less than 10 seconds.
Maybe just bishop back. Knight h5, but now you take.
Oh, he's threatening f6.
Bishop b7, yes, and knight f6 is coming. I think knight f6. This looks crushing, and take out the queen.
Oh my god,
it's over.
The queen's getting into g7.
Yeah,
that's it.
What a game.
You got to sack your queen now.
Wow. So Ivan Shitko wins with the white pieces and keeps Dallas in this match. Antipov, in the meantime, won his game, and Raja is also winning as black has a queen. But look, this white's got 2 rooks and a bishop. And everything is protected. You can do nothing about just queen to pawn.
Wow, that pawn marching down victory lane. And there we have it, resignation. But Ivan, the clutch player from Dallas, keeping their team and their season alive. We have another opportunity here in round 4 to see some magic. We have Mizzou up 8-4. And I don't care what you guys think. We just witnessed an insane comeback opportunity from Athens in that last match. Can Dallas take some of that Greek magic and do the same? Can they sweep to bring it to overtime? I don't know, Bog. What do you think?
I think they can. It's unlikely, but they can. But, rule number 1, don't take draws. if Mizzou gets any draw, the match is just over. So even if you risk losing, you just have to play on, risk it for the team. They have to sweep, so they have to win on every single board. They cannot allow any errors. But the Mizzou team is so stacked that it would be a miracle if Dallas comes back from this. But you never know. Athens was extremely close and missed out by half a point. So let's see if Dallas can get it done.
You're saying the Mizzou team is stacked and it's impossible or would near a miracle. I mean, I was looking at that UTRGV lineup and thinking the same thing. Like, there's no way Athens could sweep them. But they were like literally one game away from doing it, and they really, really could have. And we have round 4 about to begin. So this is for all the marbles. This is with the season on the line. Winner moves on, loser goes home. And yeah, winner's going to play against you and your team next weekend. So I cannot wait to see if Dallas has any fight left in them. It starts off with the belief that they can do it, and I believe in them. So I want to see them make a comeback, and I agree with you. We don't want to see any early draws. We want to see some fireworks and some miracles. And Mizzou, all they need is 1/2 a point. A draw on any board will clinch their spot in the semifinals.
Yeah, and here we see their board ones have lifted off Grigoriy Oparin with white pieces against Brodsky. All right, so Brodsky took the potency from played c6, but a4 is a very solid move by Oparin to keep things controlled. a5. It's going to be difficult for Brodsky to imbalance the position here, especially given the fact that Oparin is so well prepared. Honestly, like, already right now, I don't see what Black should do to imbalance this game. This is quite a theoretical line in the Catalan, and once again, very difficult to create any sort of imbalance here with Black. Oparin takes maybe something like b6 followed by bishop a6. Brodsky might be okay, but how do you ever win these types of positions?
Yeah, that's for them to find out. And again, UT Dallas must-win situation on all 4 boards. Ivan Shiko in the last round, getting their only point, keeping their team alive. If he didn't win that game against Oparin, the match would have been already over. So Oparin missed an opportunity perhaps to clutch the match win. That'd be crazy to see if Dallas can make them pay for that. And I think that would be absolutely incredible. So we're tuning in right here, right now. I like that bishop a6 idea. And so we saw the queen come back, and this e-pawn would have been hanging. Instead, we see bishop to b7, leaving a6 for the knight. And where's that knight going? b4?
Yep, he hops into b4, hitting the queen. So let's see where Greg is going to go with the queen. Maybe a square like b3 or c3. He chooses b3. I mean, Black has that nice outpost on the b4 square, so at least there's some sort of imbalance. Rook to c8, maybe setting up the idea of going c5 later. I think not for the moment, as you know, you do open up the default where your queen is located. Rook c1, logical move by Greg. So what do? I mean, you can go for a move like queen e7, but then the pawn on b6 becomes a little bit tender, and white can go knight c4 with tempo. So not an easy position. I think, if anything, maybe Greg is still a little bit better. And he's such a solid player that it's going to be really difficult to outplay him here with Black. But, you know, you never know. If the players get low on time, anything can happen, as we just saw.
Yeah, of course. This is blitz chess. The match is not determined by the ratings or even the positions. It's determined by who prevails in the time scrambles at the end of the day. And these results, they tend to go almost in any direction. You never really know. So one day, even one round, even one game, some player could have it, they could be on, and the next, they could totally be a miss. So we say Antipov had a kind of a slow start, a rough start here in this match. And I mean, Mizzou, they've answered quite back and have been quite on shape to get themselves a 4-point lead. This is the best possible scenario for them in round 4. So it's kind of interesting though, like, and UTRGV maybe fell for this in that last match where you're like, oh, we just need a draw on any board, right? Like, surely someone's going to get it. And then one by one, your teammates are starting to lose, right? Like, do you think that they should let the score impact them, or do you think they should all just be still playing for a win?
Yeah, they should just play for a win. That's the best way to play chess. And by the way, I want to point out this game. look at what Harshit just uncorked here. So we had a knight over with rook to g1. He played h5, stopping white from going g4. Bishop b3, g6, h3, bishop g7, g4, takes, knight c6, all looking pretty standard. And after bishop b2, here he came up with the brilliant bishop takes g4. Look at this. The tactics work out brilliantly in black's favor in case you take. You cannot take with the rook, because there would have been rook h1 check, and you lose the queen. And if you take with the queen, now you hang the knight on d4. And after bishop takes g4, had you taken on c6 first, then black takes on e2. And if here you take on c6 first, then black takes on e3, hitting the queen. So very nice tactic there by Harshit. I guess he might have still been familiar with this one, judging by how quickly he played the opening.
Yeah, Raja showing off a little bit of prep here, maybe. And I mean, that's a great pawn to snag, especially knowing that you need some points just to close out this match. So this could very well be the board that clinches the dub for this Mizzou team. Yeah, Raja's been very much in shape and on form. And we've seen Raja actually get a sweep of his own. I know we saw you get a sweep the other week. And Raja, I mean, he's one of the lesser talked about players on this Mizzou team, you know, because he's board 3 below Grigoriy Oparin and Antipov. But this is a player that he can put up some numbers. He can sweep teams in D1. We've shared some of his tactics, some of his positions on our social media pages. I know Chess.com India is following him and following his games. So definitely a huge shout out to him and the chess audience maybe tuning in from India to support him. So he's looking to maybe be the hero for this Mizzou team. And I like that tactic that he just played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Great tactic there by them. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Mizzou is doing great on almost every single board. I mean, look at this. On Antipov up pawn, very dominant position. And I was just wondering, Joe, I think a couple of weeks ago you said that Antipov was the MVP of the league. Is that still the case? Do you guys like have a standings or anything? Like, do you have any idea what the standings are? Individual.
Yeah, I mean, we're tracking like brilliant moves. We're tracking the cap score, the accuracy. We're tracking their wins and losses. I don't know if it's been updated or what it was, but like that first round from Antipov, seeing all the, as you called it, a rainbow game. I don't know. That might have brought his accuracy rating average down from that one game alone. So I'm not sure, but Raja, he played that brilliant piece sacrifice to win a pawn. He's up in his score, and yeah, I think Antipov since round 1, he's been pretty much back into shape. So,
oh wow, look at this, and yeah, Antipov, we lost him there for a second with bishop b4. Nice move there. If you take with the knight, you hang the bishop, and all of a sudden, black's 7 rank is super weak. If you take with the queen, then white takes with check, hitting the king and the bishop. You still have rook f7 to block, but either way, this looks like a great way for Antipov to at least simplify. I mean, he's clearly better here, and honestly, he should never lose this position. So I really don't see Dallas coming back in this one.
Wow. Well, rook c1, yeah, a brilliancy. Bishop to b4. We see that knight picked up with a check, and you said you don't think Ivan can bring it back, but rook to c1, a mess here, classified from Chess.com's analysis. And we see Ivan, he's going to try to simplify. Queen trade offered here. So I'm wondering, what was the move instead of rook c1?
I don't know, but Joe, this match has already come to an end. Brodsky did not listen to rule number 1. What was rule number 1? Don't take draws. He took a draw, and the match was over. In this position,
he must have not been tuning in. He wasn't watching the first match.
I mean, white is better. Make no mistake about it. And it's very difficult for black to do anything. But bishop a8 was played. Bishop h5. Nice move by Grigoriy, hitting the pawn. Here, bishop f3 back. But, you know, do something. You know, keep the game going. I know it's tough. But now it's just over. And, yeah, Mizzou clinches the match. It's a very professional decision there by Grigoriy. Of course, he realizes he was better. But, well, what's so funny? But he knew, like, hey, with a draw, we clinch the match.
Man, and Oparin's out of there. So Brodsky's he's taken. Listen, CCL players, where's the passion? Where's the fire? We saw it from the 3 Athens players and these top boards for whatever reason. Andreas Kaliris and now David Brodsky costing their teams their season. Like, this is it. That's done. Season's over for Dallas. They're eliminated. Mizzou's moving on to the semifinals. I think Brodsky might not realize, and maybe he's checking in now and seeing the score. You got to have some situational awareness going into the 4th and potentially final round of your season. So come on, we need to see less of these early draws, and we need to see some results on the board, because these teams, they have worked hard all season to get to this position in the playoffs, in the quarterfinals, and for it to just end prematurely is such a disappointment.
Yeah, but things are still looking great for the Mizzou team. I mean, look at this game between Raja and Makovey. Makovey hung a very crucial central pawn, and there's a queen of 5. Wait, queen takes d5. I mean, okay, you don't win material, but you trade everything off, and you go into this endgame, which just looks miserable for white. Take knight c3, flex up 2 pawns, 2 central pawns. I mean, maybe there's also some more stuff coming at the end. I mean, queen takes d5. I'm sure Raja, is looking at it, and there we go. No, this is over, Joe. I mean, Raja he's never going to lose this. I mean, he should win, but losing will never happen.
Yeah, these Mizzou players, they're busting out these brilliancy moves. Raja getting the second one in the single game. So we saw one earlier from Antipov. I mean, Mizzou, they started off a little shaky in that first round, but since then, they've looked on form, in shape, and they, I believe, will be very excited to have their chances against you and your team next week. So, Bok, I know you said you guys beat them pretty convincingly earlier on in the season, but of course, that's the regular season, right? Now, we're in a whole new season. This is playoffs. This is all that matters now. Do you think they are going to be licking at the chops at an opportunity to take you guys out of the season? And do you think that your team is going to be prepared for them?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we'll be taking the match very seriously. I mean, we see Mizzou and also Webster as 2 of our biggest competitors. So, yeah, definitely we have a tough semifinal match ahead of ourselves. It won't be easy. Like I said, we won in the regular season, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, we'll have to prove it again. That being said, I definitely do consider ourselves a favorite. But it's not going to be easy. And in the meantime, Joe, I heard that the statisticians looked it up behind the scenes. Maybe you can tell us who the best performing player was in the regular season.
I would be honored to. So entering the playoffs, Grandmaster Benjamin Bok, you might have heard of him, finished as the best regular season CCL player, according to the Chess.com stats team, with the most game points at 19.5 and the highest season win percentage at 70.8%. And I'm not done there yet, folks. On top of all that, the highest season score percentage of 81.3%. So Bok, I mean, what an honor to have you not only playing in the league, putting up these amazing numbers, but to be commentating with me. And I mean, how do you do it?
Yeah, I think I'm maybe going into the final match. Like, I was definitely not at the top, but going 4-0 against Mizzou definitely went a long way. But yeah, like I said, it doesn't mean much. The only thing that matters right now is that we win the playoffs. So let's see. Raja, in the meantime, he's just crushing it here. He's up how many pawns? Like 3, yeah? 3, I guess. Which
we
is
see
still a lot.
Some more results. Ivan and Antipov get a draw, and we have Balaji winning against Luka. So this is the last game. Both players less than 30 seconds. Looking good for Raja still. But yeah, at this point, Mizzou just tacking on to their lead, just making even more sure that they've won this match, leaving no questions behind. So yeah, you swept the Mizzou team last week, and I think they're definitely going to be preparing and looking into how do we take down this #1 regular season player, Bok. And interestingly, I also want to point out, last year, you commentated with me in week 7 when your team played against Mizzou, and that did not go very, very well for your team. You guys lost not only the match, but you lost your top 2 spot and had to climb your way up through the quarterfinals to face them again in the semifinals. So we're going to have a semifinal rematch this season, but kind of in the reverse, the other way around, right? Last time they beat you in the regular season and you beat them in the playoffs. This year, you guys already clinched the semifinal spot and they're going to be coming in. Do you feel that that makes any difference at all in the match? Or do you think that it doesn't matter how you get there, you're still going to win?
Yeah, it doesn't matter so much how you get there. I mean, it's just important that you make it into the playoffs in the first place, of course, but given the fact that there are 6 spots, it's pretty much like our chances of making it are very, very high. Yeah, that being said, I mean, I don't think it makes a big difference whether you won in the regular season or not. I mean, we also did not have our best team in the regular season that match. I mean, I was commentating. I think we also missed another GM. So, yeah, I mean, again, if we have our best team, Mizzou is going to be a tough team to beat, but we should be the favorite. And yeah, Raja also wins his game. So in the end, it's quite a convincing 10-6 victory for the Mizzou team over Dallas.
Yeah, so that's it. And we see a smile there from Raja. The man, he did his job. He did his part today. The Dallas player has dipped out. The Andrei Makove, he is Dallas captain, but yeah, there he is. And I assume he's playing with his teammates. All smiles from the Mizzou team. A sigh of relief and anticipation for next week moving forward. They're going to have their work cut out for them. This SLU team, defending champs, going to take them on and try to defend their title. But as you see here, 10-6 final score. Raja getting the only win for Mizzou, but top 2 boards getting draws, getting the job done for this Missouri team. So we're going to have 3 of the 4 teams in the semifinals from the state of Missouri, my home state. So a lot of talent there. But yeah, looking at this, we see Raja again, undefeated, leading the team in points, 3.5 out of 4. Bok, do you think you're going to sweep this team again, or do you think that was kind of like a lucky week for you?
I think it's going to be difficult to sweep the team. I mean, if yeah, it's going to be difficult. I mean, I didn't expect going 4 out of 4 at all. I mean, honestly, against such a strong team, I mean, having a plus score is already pretty decent. But yeah, as you pointed out, Raja, their board 4 was their best performing player. Oparin board 1 only scored 2 points, but hey, if your worst performing player scores 2 points, you're going to win a lot of matches. So very convincing performance by Mizzou, and yeah, like I said, it's not going to be easy against them in the semifinals.
Yeah, well, the match is finished and quarterfinals is finished. Some of the brackets probably busted by now, but a lot of people probably predict the favorite, and so perfect bracket's still on the line. I do want to say, stick around, don't go away anywhere just yet, because we do have an exciting interview, the point scorer from Mizzou, Harshit Raja, coming up after this break.
Have a friend or family member who loves chess? Gift them a Chess.com membership today and see them take their game to the next level. You can choose a gold, platinum, or diamond membership for 1 month or 1 year. Want your gift to arrive on your friend's birthday or on a holiday? Gifts can be scheduled to arrive up to 90 days in the future. All premium plans include an ad-free experience, unlimited puzzles and lessons, and unlock all bots. Go platinum to add unlimited game review, or diamond to unlock insights and coach explanations. Give the gift of chess today.
In this video, I'm gonna show you top 5 scholar-made attempts in Champions games. Before we dive into the games, I would like to show you the pattern if you have not seen it yet. Well, this happens when white goes with 1e4, black responds with e5, and white plays queen to h5. This queen gets into the game way too fast, attacks the pawn on e5. Now black plays knight to c6, guarding the pawn, and white goes with bishop to c4. White's 2 pieces are attacking on f7 and would like to capture this pawn, and if black is careless and plays knight to f6, then we have queen to f7, and this is a checkmate. Scholars made attempt 2 by Hikaru. Here we have this game between Hikaru and Filipov Anton, and we have 1e4, e5, queen goes on h5, and g6 once again. Hikaru plays queen to f3. Once again, gives a try to checkmate black's king, Black says, no, I see that, and knight to e2. We have seen already this kind of position earlier in the first game, so Black plays bishop to g7 to make sure that the king is castled, and here Hikaru goes with d3. Black responds with d5, attacks right away in the center. White captures this pawn, and Black goes with knight to b4. The pawn on c2 is hanging, so White has to play bishop to b3 to guard this pawn, and now we have knight to d5. And here we have this endgame where White has very active pieces, both rooks are controlling the open files, and the bishop is controlling this diagonal. As you can see here, those pieces are concentrated mainly on the queen side, and they are not actually so active. And the king is all the way here on the king side, just alone. So White is using this and plays rook to e7, gives a check. If king goes on the back rank, it will be a checkmate. So Black goes to king h6 now, and here we have rook to d6. The pawn is hanging, and it's not just a pawn, it's going to be a checkmate. So king goes back on g-file, plays g6 to guard the pawn, and we have bishop to c4 attacking the rook. But what is actually the idea of this move is that White wants to play bishop to d3 and checkmate this king next move. There we go. This is the checkmate that happened in this game, and second attempt of Scholar's mate in fact worked out. This game has ended in 39 moves. It was not a checkmate in 4 moves, but I think White got really nice play on the king side.
I'd classify trading as a game really that you're playing with competitors and basically every market participant in the world. My path, I came in as a poker player, but I think that the main thing that everybody has in common is a sense of competitiveness and interest in gaming and strategy in general. Yes, you can actually use gaming skills for your career and for something to do on a day-to-day basis.
Welcome back to the Collegiate Chess League presented by SIG. The Collegiate Chess is obviously growing in the league, but we also have our College Ambassador program, which is up to 38,000 plus members across all of our college chess clubs. I mean, that is incredible. You have University of Waterloo up from Canada, #1 spot, 2,300, over 2,000 members in that chess club. That is absolutely insane. And we see all the way down to that #8 spot, my alma mater, UCLA, go Bruins, top 8. So yeah, what an awesome increase. If you guys want, use !cap, I think, should take you there, or I'll link it to. But anyways, welcome back, you guys. We have our interview coming up with the one and only Harshit Raja. Harshit, you just went 3.5 out of 4. You clinched your team's spot in the semifinals, winning some cash along the way. Congratulations, and tell us how you feel.
Hi guys, thanks for having me. I feel good that I was able to perform well, especially after what happened with me last week. I'm very happy that I was able to do well again for my team.
For sure, yeah. And going into this match, do you think you would be, you guys would be a favorite, or what were your thoughts going into the match?
I mean, most of the teams in this tournament are very, very close to each other in terms of their strength. So I knew that it's going to be a tough match, but the sun was out and I was in a very good mood, and all of my teammates were also very excited to play today's match and secure the spot into the semis. So we're very happy with our performance.
You mentioned all your teammates being ready to play, but maybe going into this match earlier, it was kind of a question whether or not Oparin would be competing, as he was competing in the American Cup. So I wanted to ask you, as a teammate of Oparin's, were you rooting for him to like do well in the American Cup, knowing that maybe he wouldn't play in the CCL? Like how does that feel?
Obviously, I mean, American Cup, I mean, is one of the strongest tournaments in US. So I was rooting for Grigoriy. It was unfortunate that he got knocked out because I think that Grigoriy is someone who can definitely perform well in those formats. But on the plus side, we got him to play for us. So I think team-wise, it was a very good situation for us to have him, because having Grigoriy in the team is a huge plus for our team.
Yeah, no, for sure. He's definitely a very strong player. And Harshit, in the semifinals, you guys will take on St. Louis University. What are your thoughts about this matchup?
Well, I did not perform well at all last week. If you guys know, I went 0 out of 4. So also I wanted to thank all of my teammates. Like even if you do well, or if you don't do well, all my teammates are very supportive, and win or lose, we all take the result together. So I mean, it's going to be a very close match, and I know that there's going to be a very interesting player in the form of Benjamin playing that match too. So I'm looking forward to that match.
Yeah, that's going to be an absolute thriller of a match. Actually, a semifinals rematch from last year. But the other way around, you guys actually clinched the semifinal spot out of the regular season, and then had SLU fight their way through quarterfinals to meet you. But before we get to that, I had a couple more questions for you, Raja. You have played some brilliant, fantastic games throughout the season so far. Even today, we saw a game have at least 2 brilliancies in it. And our social media team and Chess.com India, we've shared some of your puzzles. And I wanted to ask you, how does it feel knowing that all these fans from around the world are tuning in to see if they can solve those positions that you solved in real time?
It's definitely I mean, I'm very happy to be able to pull out some moves that people can solve as puzzle rush tactics. I remember this rook into e5, which was one of my favorite tactics from a few weeks back. But yeah, I think my style is kind of very dynamic, and I like to play aggressive chess. So whenever it works out, it kind of leads to some nice puzzles. But sometimes when it doesn't work out, then it can also be something where people can learn how to defend. So I think that I try to play very dynamic chess.
Right. And Raja, you guys came straight of winning the Pan Ams at the beginning of this year, and qualifying to the Final Four. And word has it that you guys got a great celebration on the basketball court. Maybe you can tell the viewers a little bit about that.
Oh, it was a fantastic opportunity given to us by our Mizzou University, where all the players from the Mizzou chess team, including Josiah, who was our MVP from the Pan Ams, visited us from California. So all our team was invited on the center court of the Mizzou's basketball game, and we were felicitated in front of the entire audience for our victory. So that was a very special occasion for our team.
Raja, we had a question from the chat actually, from Ibshi, asking, when did you start playing chess and who was your first opponent?
I think my first opponent was my sister, and that's because I started playing chess at around the age of 7, and she was the one who was very big into chess. She was almost a FIDE-rated player around that time, and she used to always, study chess. So I kind of drew my inspiration from her.
Mm-hmm. And we have another question from someone in the chat called the Nimzo Larsener. He's asking, in your opinion, which are some underrated openings? Do you perhaps have an opening that you feel like has your name on it?
Well, I haven't yet used it in the CCL, but the King's Gambit is one of my favorite openings. I think that people don't really study that opening that much. And especially in the shorter time controls, it can be very dangerous. I think that even Nepomniachtchi or someone very strong used it in like World Blitz or World Rapid. So I think King's Gambit can be an opening which can be very underrated if used at the right time.
We'll keep that in mind. Yep.
Harshit, Raja, you had a dominant performance, 3.5 out of 4, the leading point scorer for your team at Mizzou, a huge part of the team's success throughout the season, and especially in today's match, clinching a spot in the semifinals where you guys will play against St. Louis University next week. So we're all looking forward to that. Thank you so much for being here. It's been an absolute honor. And yeah, I'm looking forward to your match next week. So good luck.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, that's today's match, you guys. We saw some absolute thrillers, and we're not done yet because we have next week. We have the bracket updated here: SLU versus Mizzou, a Missouri rivalry, and we have Webster taking on UT Rio Grande Valley for their spot in the finals. So we're gonna watch Benjamin Bok take on this Mizzou team. But yeah, Bok, it's been an absolute thriller and an honor to be commentating with you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys play again in the future weeks.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun commentating with you, Joe. It's, yeah, for sure. It's been great watching these matchups. And yeah, like you said, next week it's going to be even more exciting with the top teams taking on each other. I mean, we will be playing Mizzou. That's for sure going to be a close matchup. Webster taking on UTRGV. And the day after is going to be the final. So lots of great chess. So everyone, make sure to tune in for that. It's going to be a week from now, same time, same place. Like I said, Joe, it's been a lot of fun. Do you have any last words for our viewers?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, I want to thank you guys. There's literally only 1 weekend left in the entire season before we go on summer break. So for everyone that's stuck around and tuned in, really appreciate you all. You guys are great. And of course, thanks again to our sponsors, SIG. So I cannot wait to see how this season ends. Only 1 weekend remaining. So I'll see you guys all hopefully next week. Take care.